that our children are aware, our parents are aware, that children are being reported. So roll call, everybody is here. Olivia is on Zoom. She's not feeling well tonight. So everybody else is here. We'll go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will go ahead and adopt the agenda. One addition that we're making to the agenda, we have the privilege of our Cub Scout, local Cub Scouts up there, and they'll be getting up to make a comment prior to public comment, and they'll be talking about what they want to see in the new town park. It's part of a challenge. Olivia and I had the privilege of discussing with them how to get elected and the process of voting and things like that a few weeks ago, and we issued them a challenge to select a leader and come back to council and let us know what they want to see in the new town park. So we'll be seeing them right after Mr. Runnick with the LCRC, who's going to be our vendor spotlight for the evening. Any other requested additions or changes to the agenda? And I'll entertain a motion to adopt as such. And a second?
Ashley.
Okay, and I'll start at this end.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you check with Olivia?
Olivia, you're gonna have to remind me all night, I won't forget.
Yes.
Okay, so we would like to welcome Roy Runnick, the Executive Director of the LCRC. He's going to speak to us about the services provided by the Resource Council.
Please open your brochures if you want, and you can follow along. There's some more here if you need some help. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, distinguished members of council, Madam Manager, I guess, right? Town manager, right? So thank you. Greetings from the choppings and best wishes. So I just wanted to throw that in. I grew up on 2nd Street, but I've been in the choppings about 35 years. What an honor it is to come to you tonight and be able to talk about one of my favorite things. I'm going to tell you folks, I wear a lot of hats, but this is probably my favorite thing. Let's talk a little bit about the Resource Council. Resource Council is actually 33 years old. Okay, I have been the executive director for the last decade. So I've been there 10 years. I'm a retired fire chief from Henrico County, but I've been there and it's a great ministry and it's an honor to serve our citizens the way I do there. It's just a privilege to do that. So there's a little bit of history you can see there, but our mission is very simple. It's very, very to the point. So we do food, we do clothing, we do essential services. And when I talk about that, I'll spend a little time talking about that. So the very first thing at the top of that list is the emergency food pantry. That program has actually been in existence since the 1950s. It actually existed. It came from the faith-based community, and it showed up at the Resource Council about 15 years ago. It got thing. The faith-based community still is a wonderful partner, but the Resource Council actually manages that. That is the program that we actually do all of our emergency work. That's what we do with our homeless folks. That's the program we use for that. And by the way, I have a special gift for y'all this evening. The Resource Council has now adopted a new program called Kindness Bags. And the Kindness Bags are bags that are given out to folks that are in crisis or in a homeless situation. And I'm going to give you the first 5, since you invited me, for y'all to have here, so that if somebody shows up, they will have them and you can give them to them. And in that, there's a blanket, there's some simple food, there is a resource list, which I'll talk a little bit about that. There's a resource list of all the services that are available, such as the Resource Council, the Sheriff's Department, Region 10, transportation. All of those things are available on the resource list in a $5 Sheets card so that they can get a sandwich or something. But you'll get the very first 5 bags. I'm honored to give them to y'all tonight, so you'll get those. So the emergency food pantry has been around a long time. It's been around since the 50s. It is the ones that came out of the faith base, and that is actually where we do when a homeless person or anybody comes up, they need food. Nobody comes to the Resource Council and does not get fed. Nobody. We don't care if you come every day, we're going to give you something to eat. So the big program that we run is the Community Covered Board, and the Community Covered Board is the program. It's a USDA program, which is still around, but don't worry, everything's going to be okay because we have plenty of food. But we serve about 1,900 families monthly through that program. And I know that's shocked look on your face, but believe it or not, we moved 3.2 million pounds of food through the Resource Council last year. We did 21,000 hours of volunteerism at the Resource Council last year. So the Resource Council is a large endeavor. It's a big deal, and it involves a lot of different players and people and all those kinds of things. But that's the major program is the Community Covered Board in the SOAP, and it is income based, but it's very liberal. And you can, I'm not going to advertise all that tonight, but if you know somebody in town or somebody that you know that probably could use a little help, this would be a great opportunity. Just recommend them to us. The Children's Feeding Program is an all-encompassing program. We partner with Louisa County Public Schools. And what that is we do the backpack programs on the weekends. And we partner with the faith-based community for that. And we send backpacks home with children that may not have food over the weekend. We send those home with those folks. And also any kind of feeding that a child needs, if they need food at school, something like that, there's something special, we're going to take care of that. That's one of the things we do there. And then we have a special program that's only in Louisa. It's called the Grocery Assistance Program. If someone is out of the income limits for one of the USDA programs, the Grocery Assistance Program was created for the working folks that may be outside that limit. They just don't qualify for SNAP benefits. However, they can still come get food from us in the GAP program. We're very happy that people come and use that. But if there's a tough time, a family is going through a tough time, but they're working, but they're having a hard time, the GAP program is a great program. We're honored to have that, and we're happy for anybody to use it. Our 60 plus program, and I'll qualify, it says 60 plus. 60 is not old. I just want everybody to understand. 60 is not old. It just happens to be what the USDA says is that you probably shouldn't be working anymore, right? So anyway, it provides an extra box of healthy food each month. And we have about 300 people that use that in our community. The community closet, which is our closet, which is a community closet, which is and what it is we accept donations. And what we're able to do, we do sell some of those items, not the price like you see it, the competitor up the street. What we do is the money that we get for our programs and the things that we sell, which is $1 and $2 and stuff, we roll back into the Children's Feeding Program because, believe it or not, where I have to buy the most food is in the children's feeding because children, well, they're only going to eat they'll probably agree. They're only going to eat so many peas and so many green beans, right? I mean, so I need some mac and cheese. I need some other, granola bars and those things. So, and then we have two very special programs that we have. One of them is called the Dental Assistance Program and the other is Wheels for Work. The Dental Assistance Program is a program we created about 6 or 7 years ago. And what it is if somebody needs dental care and it is a limited income and they need dental care, we have a $500 voucher program and we use every dentist in Louisa County. All right. And we use mental dental care quite a bit. And in fact, I was just there the other day and talking to them about it. And what happens is that the $500 doesn't qualify or doesn't cover everything. What we're able to do is we're able to work with the dentist and we're able to add some additional funds to that to be able to really help people. And then the Wheels for Work is a program we created to help people with transportation. Louisa County is 514 square miles. Transportation is a big deal. So when people's car breaks down and they're not able to get to work or they're not able to get to their doctor's appointment or not able to get to their grandmother's house to help her or whatever, we have a program to assist with that. So we do with that. And then finally, the program that is everything is information and referral, which is actually on the other side. So if you have a question about any benevolent organization, about any benevolency, about anything to do with anything, we actually have we actually can answer all those questions to the best of our ability. If you call us and you say, I need help with this, we have the Housing Foundation that's in our building right across the parking lot. We don't do housing. We don't do housing. Housing does housing. We partner with them, but we answer all the questions. We do all that kind of stuff. They do the housing, they do the ramps, but we'll take the questions and we'll do that. And we partner with them. It's a great partnership. Everything we do is a partnership. Everything we do is a partnership. And so that's how we make all this happen. We do a lot with Louisa Public Schools, we do a lot with Louisa County government, we do a whole lot with faith-based communities. We actually have 11 remote distribution sites that each one of them is a faith-based community location. It's a church. And so we partner with these churches to get the food distributed that way. And like I said, we moved 3.2 million pounds last year. We're honored to give it away. That's what it's given to us for. We're serving a great God, and we want to do that. So I have briefly covered everything that we do. A couple of things are, we are a 501c3. So we are a nonprofit. We're not a government agency. So we have some flexibility there. And we do love volunteers. As I said, we did 21,000 hours of volunteerism. And we really like it when people come, like groups like this, to come up and serve and help us at, I actually have a 183 shirt at home that I wore. Okay, now I don't think I can still get into it, but I actually was a member of that pack. So, yeah, so anyway. Okay, so anyway. So those are all the things we do. And as I say, I wear many hats, but this is one that I'm most proud of. Do you guys have any questions, concerns, observations?
I do.
Yes.
Do y'all help people that are having problems like paying their water bill?
So we don't, actually, we don't do utility bills. They're the Louisa County Emergency Fund does.
Is that what?
Right. They do, we partner with them. We'll take the information and but they actually pay, they actually.
Do you have any idea of the criteria to pay it?
No, I don't. I don't. They do it. That's in that. I say we partner with them and we get the information. If you were to call and say, hey, I need help with my water bill, what I'm gonna do is get you over to there. So that, yeah, that's one of the things. We don't do Dominion or Rappahannock or whatever, that, those kind of things.
Do you have a Facebook page?
Yes, ma'am. We have Facebook. We have we have a big social media presence, actually. We actually have 4 social. We have Community Closet, we have Wheels of Work, and Volunteering Louisa actually resides at this. So if anybody wants to volunteer, we are the conduit that connects people with volunteer opportunities wherever they are. We're the conduit that makes that all happen. So you can find any of those and they connect to Louisa County Resource.
Okay.
And then we have our big website and all that kind of stuff. And you'll see Volunteering Louisa. But that's a really cool program, Volunteering Louisa. What we do is we take the application. You want to volunteer, or you have or you want some volunteers. You send us what you want, and we'll connect the dots for you. That's what we did.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we connect the dots. So you guys want to help with your cleanup, right? Whatever. You just did that. By the way, y'all did an awesome job. Kudos. But let me just say, you wanted volunteers, right? If you said, hey, I'd have thrown it out to the Volunteer Louisa and we'd see how many we could have gotten you. Not that it looked like y'all did okay with what you had, so I don't, y'all did an awesome job. We do a lot of stuff, and if you have a question, concern, happy to help you out. Anything else?
Y'all don't do Meals on Wheels.
So yes, actually, Meals on Wheels. Let me share with you. So believe it or not, Becky, Meals on Wheels. Believe it or not, today we use a different program, similar thing, but the food is actually delivered by FedEx.
Really?
Yeah, they package up about 6 meals. They flash freeze it. I said that very good. There you go. I got it. And then we ship it by FedEx, and that's how it's done. Most of that's in Louisiana. We only have about 4 people in all of Louisiana County still get Meals on Wheels. But we have lots of people and that program's called Mom's Meals. and Mom's Meals and what we do, and there's several that, there's still a bunch of people do that. We partner with Java for that.
Oh, okay.
We partner with Java for that one. Yeah, I love the questions. Y'all keep going. I can answer y'all. all day.
You'll be here all night.
I know.
Right.
I know him.
Thank you very much.
All righty. Well, listen,
Thank you.
thank you guys. Thank you. God bless you.
We have one question. All right, well, next up on the agenda, we'll welcome the Webelos, Pack 183. It was apparently been around a really long time. Wow.
I was gonna stay happy.
Okay, so can you tell us your name first?
Hi, I'm Kelly Ball. I live at 904 Middle Avenue. I am representing Pack 183.
We discussed what you guys decided you want to suggest. What was the big thing you guys want to suggest for the new park? Little assistant with public speaking stuff.
A community garden, a dog park, a sports area, a basketball court, a volleyball sand pit, and a
What's your group suggestion on things, on what they wanted?
basketball court.
What would you guys want the first one? Do you remember? Any of the other three in line? Remember why you suggested the first one? You guys spent an hour discussing it. Still working in the community. Would you like? Yes. So they sat down, first, I'm Chris Babcock, I live in Mineral. I am the den leader for our wonderful Webelos this year. So they sat down last week and discussed what they would like to see developed in the new area to help better the community. First one, that overall one for everybody, that was a thing, is they suggested maybe doing a community garden. Something that everyone can get into, work with, and help benefit from. Now, that not taking up the entire space as much as they would love that to be one giant garden. They also thought, we do have a dog park, but it's off way, a lot of people don't know we have it. Could be something that's also up there. You've got the playground for kids on one side, but there's really no place to walk dogs in town that, kids can run around with dogs, all that. Those aside, they also suggested ideas for physical health, things like having a basketball court that kids and adults can play on, volleyball pit. Obviously, not everything would fit all into the grand scheme of things. But they did vote, those were the top three things that they really wanted to see, whether at the new park, added to some of the others, but that would grow and help them, help futures, and kind of help expand the community and give places where everybody could get together and meet the rest of the community. Things they can work with and be hand in hand and make us feel even closer than this little town is. They did make also two other suggestions of upgrades that they were discussing. They would like to see maybe a few more picnic tables around Luck Field, because they mentioned that, going there's not one place to sit down. Some of them want to sit a lot. And there was also the question about the facilities there, that the one right by the playground. Not a very big facility, not open much, and not always in the greatest condition. So, is there anything else you'll wish to bring? On that, we appreciate your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have any questions for the Webelos? I know they've already taken it.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Appreciate y'all's volunteer to help these kids. It's great. Wonderful.
Really
Good suggestions. I mean, they're well thought out.
And
Thank you.
I will say, this was all the kids, all I did at that meeting was make sure they picked someone to lead, and I took notes.
Right.
All inspired by them.
You did a good job.
Good job.
Yeah, good job, guys. Let's
Thank
give them another round of applause. All right, next up on the agenda, we're gonna open to public comment. Has anybody signed up?
Ed Cubey.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and most of all the public and gives the voice. Group. I'm here tonight because I found on the agenda, thankfully for Ms. Moon, he put it on the web blog, which she does about the town of Mineral. That item number 6 was their Mineral Planning Commission discussion regarding actions of the chairman at the MPC meetings of January 16th, March 27th. I am the planning commission chairman, reference there too. I've been away for 8 weeks with my wife, council member QB. She has cancer, so we've been away for 2 months. I was never called about this. I was never discussed with me. And just as a footnote, Mayor Chapman, when he was a new council member in August of 2022, asked me to come on to the planning commission because it had pretty much disbanded for lack of support from council, I believe. So I heard to the planning commission. So they pretty much fell by the wayside. He asked me to take over the planning commission and chair it and help get it back on its feet, which I agreed to, and I accepted his suggestion of me to be chairman. And later, the planning commission elected me as chairman. The meeting of the 16th would have been a very short meeting because I approved the agenda as chairmen of any organization do. And I sent to the town manager a couple of things. Reorganize as you do every January, appoint a new chairman, they appointed me again. Date be the same or change the date. They decided to make it on 4th Mondays. And then to adopt bylaws. I was the one who wrote the bylaws because nobody had ever done it here. I drafted them and they got approved, went by council and the planning commission adopted them during this time. We have a book that we presented out, very thorough, very organized. But at the January meeting, when I approved the agenda, it was just these things. But the town manager added on there closure of 8th Street. I objected to that because sitting right here is Mrs. Spedden that lives on, and she's a property owner there. And she was complaining to me, and her husband were complaining to me over what was going on at 8th Street. Since Councilmember Covert bought land there and is talking about wanting to get access because she didn't have access. So I knew that, and she wanted to add it to the agenda, and I said, joining property owners have been notified, it's not enough time, can't do that. So she asked me, we'll just talk about it in general, not specifically. I said, okay, do that. At the meeting, she came in, the town manager, specifically with a report, a diagram with her lot on it and that road, and changed to wanting to do easements, something that hadn't been done by the town in the past. So it became that kind of discussion. No material presented in advance to me or council. Nobody there knew what was going on. That was one thing that blew up. It blew up because Councilman Covert didn't attend at the beginning and talk at public comment. She came just before the discussion of what she was interested in happened. And then she tried to get up and speak. And I have bylaws. I wish y'all would follow them. And that is the public talks at public comment. They don't talk to you. So I'm talking to you about this now because I don't expect you to let me talk when you bring it up. Anyway, didn't have a quorum for the February meeting, so it was canceled. The March meeting, I was in Houston. I let Mr. Snyder, the vice chairman, know of it. He chaired the meeting. These two, Ms. Covert and Ms. McGee, came to the meeting of the planning commission and objected, thinking it wasn't enough quorum to hold our meeting. I was online and I read from the bylaws. We only have 5 people. 3 is enough. There were 3 present. Meantime, the council had 3 council members there, which is an illegal meeting at our planning commission meeting. And they also had the mayor online talking to the clerk and then speaking 2 or 3 times during the meeting. So there was an illegal meeting held by the Mineral Town Council at our planning commission meeting. And they had decided not to provide a liaison to the planning commission this year for the first time. And that's what allowed these people to come in and monopolize the planning commission meeting. And the planning commission by law is supposed to be independent. It's an advisory group. It's not supposed to be run by the council. We only make recommendations. So why they're coming and trying to monopolize and run the planning commission is beyond me. Never seen that done before. And how they can hold an illegal meeting and then want to censor the chairman for trying to see that the meeting is followed correctly and properly, and it wasn't. And she came to the meeting of the planning commission where I was on Zoom because I was out of town. And she tried to tell the planning commission members at public comment that they need to do something about the leadership and make a change. She said that I lied and misrepresented that the adjoining property owners that she would have to get her easement from were aware because Mrs. Stedden was in the audience. I can speak for that, and you can ask her if you want. She got no notification from council. She got no help from the town manager. She was calling me to find out about what's going on. And I said, well, it's not on the agenda. It shouldn't be discussed. And she brings a detailed report and tries to get what that lady there in the December or January council meeting said in this room that she needed a favor from council. She bought land and she needed an easement to it. But at the planning commission, it was given to us nondescript, no name as to who it was to, I suppose, protect her name from being involved. But she spoke up and called me, said I should recuse myself because I don't like her, is what she said. Well, obviously, if there's no liking someone, that must be what is shared there about me. And a conflict of interest is not whether somebody likes anyone or not, it's whether they have a financial interest. So if you have financial interest, that's when you recuse yourself. You might want to think about that. Thank you very much.
Anybody else signed up for public comment?
Yeah, Mitchell Sasser.
Mr. Thacker, town of Louisa. I'm speaking as a representative of the Leadership Louisa class. For those of you who may not know, Leadership Louisa is a program put on by the Louisa County Chamber of Commerce. It's about 20 individuals who come together for a 6-month program. Over the course of that program, they are actually paired with a local nonprofit, and the different groups are presented with their nonprofit and a problem that they are currently facing. And they have roughly 4 months to help that nonprofit go through that problem. For my group, a group of 4 or 5 individuals, the nonprofit that we have been given is Laser. And the reason that I'm speaking with you all today is because one, Laser uses the facility right down the road, and Laser has also spoken to you guys as the town council before. They have shared with you what they do, what their mission is, and what their vision is for their organization. When it comes to my role in Leadership Louisa and my goal with this program, I can't help but use my journalism brain. My journalism brain goes to community engagement and how a community can come together to help an organization. You all know a lot more people in the town of Mineral than I do. So I suppose I'm just putting this out there that if y'all have any connections, if y'all have any ideas to help with this nonprofit and their need for volunteers, I would just encourage you to reach out to me. I was on Facebook this morning and I saw Mr. Chapman has been getting a little bit more involved with Laser and what they do. So, I think you're a good first starting resource, but I'm sure other people as well might have some great ideas that they can throw my way. Again, I'm all about community collaboration. The more people I have who are aware of this and who are helping me, I think the better job that I can do. That's all I will say about that. Before I head back to my seat, I would like to echo just a few things that Mr. Kuby brought up. I had someone, a concerned citizen, who reached out to me about the level of engagement at the Mineral Planning Commission meeting last month with members of the town council. So just want to let you know that if someone else did reach out to me about that, I think it would be great if maybe y'all could, answer some of the questions that Mr. Kuby brought up. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's all.
That's all. Okay.
Mr. Bonton, application for a town council member showed up late, but he wanted to speak. Can he speak?
Okay.
Yes. I'm misspeaking after? Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. All right, then we'll go ahead and close public comment. We will next move on to approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve or amend the minute as presented. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, fine. Okay, page 14, new business, H, item 1, civic code. Voting, says I voted yay and I did not. That's a no.
For,
Civic Plus Unicode.
okay,
And item K, executive session. If you remember, Ron, I said I objected to going into executive session because we were meeting with the attorney supposedly about litigation, but there was no litigation. That would have been about 9th Street, and it wasn't, and I voted no. And
can we verify that on the transcript?
I would have to rewalk it out.
remember the conversation.
I remember it, but I don't remember what the vote was. I'm not gonna say that I have didactic memory on that. So let's verify it, and if the vote is no, we'll make that change.
Let's see. Then once we get back in session, there's supposedly a vote about the town manager given the ability to oversee the development of 9th Street. Don't believe that was ever discussed, but I have a handout that I'd like to give to everybody concerning the development of 9th Street. And first and foremost,
I don't think there was ever a vote. I think it was a consensus that we were gonna allow the zoning administrator to do her job.
well,
I don't think.
the problem is, Ron, you know, anytime you want to develop any property, mineral property in this town, ordinance says you have to have 2 public meetings. We never had 2 public meetings. And if you remember, Mr. Sproul, his comment was, like, you kind of done everything backwards, and then he gave a list of everything that should have been done. Land disturbance permit, erosion control permit, etc. You have to put up a bond, all of that. And as far as I know, none of that was done. But I went ahead and looked up.
But here's my request for you, Mr. Hempstead. Right now, we're focused on minutes. So approving or amending the minutes, period, end of sentence. If you've got legitimate items you want to add to the agenda, let's get it through the process and get it on next month's agenda to discuss openly.
Okay, but in the meantime, no development should go ahead of 9th Street because we did, number one, we did not have public meeting.
Well, let's go ahead and hand out the items that you brought in.
Okay.
So that council has that information, but again, we're talking about the agenda and we are amending by the agenda, so let's stay on task for the long meeting tonight.
Okay.
Any other requested amendments to the agenda? Then I would entertain a motion to approve as amended. And a second. And we'll go around the table, Mr. Hempstead. No. As amended. For the amendments you just requested,
How do I say no vote?
you don't want to vote at all.
Correct.
So you can say I abstain.
Yes. I
You
say.
abstain. Okay. I will hear. Okay. Yes. Yes. Olivia,
Yes.
so those amendments will be made once verified. I did mention this at the planning commission meeting, so minutes are public documents the moment they are generated, right? So we're not approving or denying the minutes, we're approving or amending. So they're public documents the moment that the town clerk starts typing them. We can't really deny them per se. All right, let's look at next item on the agenda is the bylaws. So if y'all remember at our January meeting, we had asked the committee to start to review our bylaws, look at them with a fine tooth comb and come back to them. Originally, they were to be on last month's agenda. We had a 5-hour meeting last month. It just was not conducive to getting it done. So Michelle and I, as the committee, have in front of you a proposal for bylaws, which we will use to conduct town meetings. So what we're looking at for tonight is a motion to either accept as is or amend the bylaws. So has everybody had a chance to read them? Any comments, questions, additions that they want to make? We'll start with Mr. Hempstead.
1-2, item C. Says every member has rights to equal to every other member. We change that to council members. And just an aside, thanks, Mark, but you're not a council member anymore. You're the mayor, which is ceremonial, so that kind of puts you outside of that box. Second page, item E. Council members, I don't know, if we added or just clarified. Council members represent voters, residents individually according to the requests and requirements of residents, not other councilmen. Our council members, we were supposed to represent, not other councilmen.
Right.
And
So don't move on yet. You're asking that we add that to letter E on that?
I think it should be, yes.
Okay, can you send me that verbiage? Can you
Yes.
shoot that to me in the email?
Yep. Page 23, item 2, conduct of meetings. Third sentence, fourth sentence, the third sentence starts with Robert's Rules of Order and newest revised edition shall govern the conduct of meetings. And Robert's Rules of Order conducts the procedure of meetings, not the conduct.
Tell me the page you're on, Danny.
23, under item 2, conduct of meetings. Starting in the third sentence, A. Robert's Rules of Order, newest revised edition shall govern. And then down in item D, no member shall hold the floor longer than 5 minutes. Senate and House of Representatives use 10 minutes. I think we should do the same. Hey, if we can have a meeting that goes 5 hours, it wouldn't hurt to have 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, we don't want that. So we'll write it as suggestions.
Mhm.
What more?
Mine is matching up with what he's saying.
Page 24 at the end. Start down with the mayor shall order the removal of any person whose behavior is unruly or disruptive. Kind of a broad statement, because what determines unruly or disruptive? Large opening here for First Amendment, freedom of speech lawsuits. Gotta be careful.
So in the last line, I cite the actual state code that tells you what unruly and disruptive.
If that could be either.
Well, and then I cite it in accordance with state code 18.2-415 in the last line.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
And let's see, page 25, item B, the last sentence. It says the mayor, following consultation with the town manager, approves items to be placed on each meeting agenda. That should be the council, because your position is ceremony.
Mayors. Yeah, a mayor duty has always been.
Well, it doesn't matter.
On the
It's all in
charter,
it.
on the charter, in the charter.
No, it doesn't say that in the charter. Actually, I read it.
Well, we can add it as a suggestion. Council has the right to.
Okay.
Decide what's.
This is lots of only supposed to be passed in January, the organizational meeting anyway, because that's what the old bylaw said. However, can you just have the town clerk put all of this information into what is already there. And can we bring this up next week after we read all this?
Next month.
Yes, next month. I don't know, I've been in a bubble for 8 weeks.
Well, I think that that's, I mean, that's up to council's decision, but I think that that sounds reasonable. Are there any other?
It's a lot.
It is a
I'll
lot.
do that, I put an email.
Are you done?
No, just.
I don't want to.
So just give it to the town clerk and let her incorporate it and bring it back to next month so that we can have a time to go over it.
Well, we get these things ahead so that we can read them, but since your changes are generally very large, maybe if you do get them ahead, you could forward them to us ahead so that we have an opportunity to consider them before these
I
meetings.
suggested now, Michelle, but
No, I'm just saying.
I came to this meeting assuming that we were gonna make comments, and that's what I.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Is council okay with doing that, having any recommendations from any member of council or admitted to the town clerk?
Yes.
And we redline it for next month,
Absolutely.
so we'll table Olivia.
Yes, I'm in agreement with that. And this is perhaps a little nitpicky, but the formatting of the bylaws is also off. There are different places where the indentation and justification of the text is not congruent throughout the document. Hopefully we can fix that for next month as well.
So why don't we do that? Let's say that council will get with the town clerk within the next 2 weeks to submit any recommended changes, and then Stephanie, can you redline them for next month's agenda?
I don't even know if I have your draft of this because you guys.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay.
That you've got an editable version. Is council okay with the 2 weeks? That way we're not putting pressure on the staff to get it out in an hour? So we'll table this discussion until next meeting. If the town clerk would make a note that this would go on next month's meeting agenda. Okay, so next thing on the agenda is rescheduling of the town hall meeting. So we're need to keep at this moment in these budgeting set of meetings, so we're gonna have a lot of necessary public hearings and meetings to put that budget together as a council. So what the town manager is requesting is that we push the next town hall out until after that, so that we're not trying to, we'd be meeting every other day. In that case, so is there a date, Nicole, correct me if I'm wrong, we talked about July?
Talk about July.
Okay, so anytime July or after that, the council would recommend our next public town hall. The public hearing, that's not the correct name.
Instead of June, right?
Just a- So yeah, so we're looking at July.
Yeah.
Yeah. so July.
We usually do it on a Tuesday, or what day were we trying to do them on?
I think it's any day that works as long as we get it out to the public with enough notification. Olivia, are you able to hear what I'm saying?
It's a little bit garbled, but for the most part.
So we're looking for a date suggestion sometime July for the next town hall meeting.
Since they're going to meet on the 15th. Maybe the 22nd.
The 22nd has been suggested. Does anybody have?
Wait, it's 80 on the 14th. The 22nd would be a Tuesday.
So I need a motion, not hearing any dissent, any
Is there a way to
motion.
do it earlier in the month, only because we're late, already, rather than, I don't know.
Beginning of July
Our meeting is-
is not the best time
Yeah.
to plan it. We want people to come.
Yeah,
All right, you wanted the first one of the month.
Yeah.
well, we'll have the 4th of July celebration from the firehouse, right? So they do a parade and fireworks. So we don't want to be trying to fight with that.
No, I was thinking like the 8th or the 9th, but you know, 22 is fine.
So I need a motion for.
A
the
motion that
22nd.
we move the next town hall meeting to July 22nd.
In second. Okay, now start with Mr. Hampton.
Yes.
Okay.
I assume that's your.
Yes. And yeah, we typically do them. That's it. Olivia?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, updates on the derelict buildings. We requested that be put on this month's agenda as a follow-up from last month's meeting. Before I turn it over to the town manager, I just want to point out, I did get an email from someone asking about the old school property and the condition that it is in. I just wanted to put an update out there, so it is in the process of being cleaned up. We were over there on Saturday, looking at what it's gonna take, and I think we have a plan moving forward to get it looking a lot better than it looks now. The only reason I bring that up is that someone did email me a complaint. So I wanna make sure we discuss that. Nicole, I give you the floor, if you have any update on that.
Nope, I sent an email to the property owner of 500 West Third Street, and I have not received an update from Mr. Cameron related to the property on Mineral Avenue. He, I think, was supposed to have an update for you guys with your decision.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Was there anything in the original agreement with them that they had a timeline that they had to have the school cleaned up by?
So, because it rained so much for Mr. Morgan and he's 80 some years old, he asked if he could have the truck removed after the closing and some of the other stuff to be removed after that. And I said, yes, I was allowed to do that.
Okay, but my question was, is there a date that he has to have it all cleaned up by?
He was down there cleaning it up. I have to put a phone call into him to see if there's anything else. That
So
needs
is that a
cleaning up.
no, that there is no date in the agreement that he has to have it cleaned up by?
I'm explaining to you that he asked me if he could have an extension after the closing. I said yes, because he is 85 or however old he is, and he was removing his stuff. It then rained and he wasn't able to get down here. So I told him he had a week. I left a message for him on his voicemail. I have not heard back from him. He knows that if he does not do it, then it's just everything the rest of the stuff goes to the trash.
So you extended him a week, when does that week expire?
Well, it's expired. I can't get him on the phone. So if he doesn't return my phone call from the phone call that I left him on Saturday, then we'll go from there.
He was out there Sunday,
He was out there working.
he was out there Sunday when I drove by.
He did request for the town truck to be at the property so he could finish cleaning it up, and the town truck was booked and it was not at the property. So I left him a message explaining that it would be there if he needed it for the next weekend, but it's going to be Easter, so I don't know what his life looks like. He has not contacted me back, so I'll give him another phone call and we'll see from there, but I'll just tell him that it's over. I'm not trying to put somebody at a place that they can't get their stuff. I realize that.
No, I was just asking if, when the agreement was originally made, if there was a deadline there
There was.
that by, August 1st, it had to be all entirely done, or you were in breach of contract.
We already closed on it, so this was it. I extended him part of the closing time. After the closing, he asked me if he could have another week or two. I told him I'd give him a week. Then it rained. So we're just trying to work with him. There, since we're on this topic, I would like to state that Mr. Cutright, Reno Cutright, volunteered 6 weeks of his time with no one else out there to help clean up any of this. The town did not get involved because the town had signed the agreement to purchase the property, but nobody else in the town helped this man do anything with this property. But yet I got several phone calls complaining about the trash that was blowing, and all he was doing was trying to clean it up. He purchased and rented dumpster after dumpster. He used the town truck, and Mr. Cutright was out there the whole time, and he was very upset and came to my office and told me how he was so disappointed that this place in Mineral used to be that it was a community event, and he was literally yelling at me in the office until we calmly went to him and sat down and talked. He was very upset. He said he's never seen it like this before. It used to be that all the community would get together and help each other and clean up and do things and move things and whatever they needed done.
But that
But
was
he
a
was
pro-
very upset that no one in the town,
he was the one
came
making
to
the profit for that deal, though.
he wasn't profiting anything.
We're not discussing profit and.
He was out there with his
Discussing
tractor and his
properties.
truck. He wanted me to make a note that he was out there and he did volunteer 6 weeks of his time to do that. And he did not see anyone else come out there. The town maintenance staff did go and help try to empty the truck and bring it back for the gentleman. But the town could not get involved. We were in the
Were they
agreement with first.
successful, citizens that were complaining?
Yeah.
I can understand why they do complain. The man's had a mess over there for 30
Absolutely.
years. So, I mean, I understand that, and they all know that we purchased the land now, so it just comes with the territory, I suspect, but it's sad.
And I agree with giving him a little extra time. We had a couple of snowstorms back to back. We had a couple of rainstorms back to back. But at this point, we have to start addressing what's left to get it cleaned up and get it removed. And it is not absent to those of us that were available on Saturday. We kind of put a plan together. So we'll be reaching out to some local organizations, maybe the LCRC that can put us in check with some volunteers to get that property raked up and cleaned up. It is 800 times better than it was 2 months ago. So we're working on it.
I'm sorry, but I agree with you, man.
I'm not saying
Lien
that.
against him that's never been, we could have called it lien, he hasn't paid taxes, we could have called him taxes, we could have taken possession
He paid.
of that property without having to spend the money we're spending. And now he wants us to help him clean it up after how many years? 2011, that lien was filed, and he wants us to help him clean up.
Well, again, we've had that conversation.
Mayor, point of order. I'm not sure the old schoolhouse property was on the agenda, sir.
Correct, and that's actually what I was just about to say. You know, I brought it up in the derelict capacity that we're cleaning up the trash. So we need to limit the scope of our conversation. We've had the discussion about it. Right. So,
Can we go back to this, the derelict property?
Mhm.
Can you give Mr. Cameron a call, not email?
Yeah, I. Yes.
Thanks.
I believe Mr. Cameron said at the last meeting that because of the vultures, National Wildlife Federation, that it would be a minimum of 4 months.
right.
before he could do anything.
So,
The concession that council made with Mr. Cameron is that we would have an update, a plan at this meeting. 30 days was given.
he did say that, but he was asked to come back and report back on his engineered person that he was coming to get for the house to see if he could save that.
For both.
Right.
But he was gonna come back this month, so he has not, and that's up to council.
Email doesn't always
I
work.
thought,
Yeah, let's see if we can call him. If he can send us an update, that's something that can be emailed out to council. So at
I'll
least
walk
we're
over
staying
to his son.
well, he owes us money.
All right, next item on the agenda, under new business is going to be the mineral well evaluation grant. Do we have a proposal for that?
Not a copy of the actual grant. No, because that, yeah.
Yeah. did we
Yeah,
have-
did-
Well, we have Sprint, he's gonna help us evaluate our wells and
Oh, it's in the mail.
Put the whole grant in there.
and the possibility of reopening.
I thought you were doing the resolution. The resolution is in there.
Is it under-
No, it's resolution.
32.
The resolution is in.
Essentially, what the town manager is requesting is that we pass this resolution to qualify for the grant for the well evaluation. It is my understanding that we have been awarded the grant.
No,
We will know.
we are working up the application. We
Okay.
cannot move forward with any awards or anything until we have a resolution
Okay.
from the council.
So I can read the resolution out, whereas the town of Mineral supplies water through an external provider. And whereas the town of Mineral must provide an internal water source. And whereas the town of Mineral wells currently require revitalization. And whereas the town of Mineral will apply for a grant that will provide funds to determine the viability of the wells. And whereas the town of Mineral may be awarded as much as $45,000 to fund the revitalization of the wells. Now it is therefore resolved by the council of the town of Mineral as follows. The Mineral Town Council directs the town manager to apply for and proceed with the mineral well evaluation grant. I need a motion to approve. And motion to approve. And so we'll start with Mr. Hempstead, Mrs. Cubey.
Yes.
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 Olivia.
Yes.
Great, motion carries, resolution is unanimous. And I'll have that signed to sign again tonight.
Tomorrow.
Well. Oh, I can find this one.
I think it says draft on
It says draft, I can't.
So. That's. All right, the next one is the resolution for mineral PBR grants. And again, I don't have a copy of that one, thank you. There it is. I'll read this one out as well. Whereas the town of Mineral supplies water through an external provider. And whereas the town of Mineral must provide an internal water source. And whereas the town of Mineral wells currently require revitalization. Whereas the town of Mineral will need to work with a hydrogeologist, say that 5 times fast. And a well driller to determine the well's water source, and the town of Mineral will apply for a grant that will provide funds to determine the viability of the well. And whereas the town of Mineral may be awarded as much as $45,000 to fund the revitalization of the wells, now it is therefore resolved by the council of the town of Mineral as follows. The Mineral Town Council directs the town manager, to apply for and proceed with the mineral PER grant. I need a motion to approve. And a second.
Is there a cost associated with getting hydrogeologists to do the study?
That's what the, so there would be a cost, but that's what the grant would cover.
And it's, even though they're the same amount, these are two different grants, so it's a total of 90,000.
So we had a motion. Did I have a second? A second, so we'll start with the council of the school. Yes. Becky?
Yes.
Olivia?
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. Appreciate it. All right, the next item on the agenda, it actually comes from a, correct me if I'm wrong, a conversation with a resident who has placed a complaint on roaming dogs.
No, Councilmember McGee brought it up at the last meeting and we agreed to put it on the agenda for this meeting.
So discussion on roaming dogs. Mrs. McGee, if you wanna kind of enlighten us on what you're.
Well, I walk, when I'm dog sitting, I walk Lulu and it's been not a lot, but it's been some roaming dog. And in fact, one dog, I call him white tip tail dog, is always out there. I haven't seen him in the last couple of weeks. I had Lulu this week and I hadn't seen him, so, other than that is, you know, it's a lot of dogs in the whole county that are being roaming everywhere, so it's just important to have this law, to have the parents to control their dogs. And whenever they have them out, put them on a leash or whatever.
When you see these loose dogs, do you call the dog catcher?
No, I don't.
Do we have an ordinance in town specific to?
We do it. We do. It's included behind. So in this, I included Louisa's, the counties, and then our code, 130-2, dogs running at large. It's page 39.
Call them last week. They send animal control. It's hard to know whose dog it is. It is showing up over and over and over, yeah. It is.
Yeah, that's white tip dog tail.
Yeah. I guess calling the sheriff's office is your best option.
Now, I will say, that has been a time or two that Lulu got out of the door and went running. I was right behind him.
Mine have broken out.
Yeah, I went right behind him and I got him and collected him. Of course, he ate the cat food from next door neighbors, but anyway, you know, can be a situation like that, but when you see the same dogs out roaming, like I said, it's been a county problem. The board of supervisors have been addressing this also.
Yeah.
So are we making any suggestions to change the current or?
I think they're good. Yeah.
Just kind of.
I think it's up on the road. I could tell it was it was very well groomed and it was nice. Food dog.
Yeah.
And so I picked it up and then control, I think picked it up and found them down the onion.
Okay. Lots of dogs have their tracking and their, is that what you call
Yeah, the GPS.
it? Yeah. But Lulu does.
So if there's no action, we're just kind of calling it to the forefront. We'll move to the next item, which is unpaid personal property tax DMV stops. So the town has, and I'm gonna ask Nicole to stop me if I misspeak here, but the town has always had a contract with the DMV that if a resident didn't pay taxes, that you would be able to put a stop on their ability to put tags, renew their tags and renew their driver's license, am I correct? That contract has expired, so we need to update it. I'll open it to discussion amongst council.
I mean, it's a motion, a second, first before discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, that's true. So I would need a motion to approve the renewal of that contract. And a second? Any comments or questions?
Isn't that something DMV is supposed to enforce? Wouldn't they renew their own contract? Is it a
So-
state contract?
It's a contract with the DMV and the town.
Oh.
So that we are authorized, we have an agent within our DMV that can go in and put the physical stops on. And I guess there's a separate contract for it. So any questions to allowing the town manager to negotiate that contract and renew it? We have a first and or a motion and a second. I'll start with Mr. Hempstead. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Olivia,
Yes.
motion carries. Next item on the agenda is going to be park use policies. So we had a couple of people suggest that we need to have some policies in place for use of town parks that kind of mirror those of the county and the town of Louisa. My suggestion this evening is that we put this on the forefront and ask the Parks Committee to come up with a list of requirements for use of the fields and come back to us next month with that proposal for us to vote on. So that's gonna be use of any town parks. So, asking the committee to come up with what they would propose. So are they gonna ask that they be reserved? Are they gonna ask that it be, you've gotta come into town hall and have a use license or whatever, whatever the committee comes up with, council would then vote on and approve.
And we had a committee that was approved, well, it was in January or February, when you asked us what we wanted to, our goals and so forth.
So that's gonna be on the general rules and usage of town parks. That's gonna be for anybody. So if Mitchell, I'm gonna use you as an example because you're right in front of me. Mitchell wants to use Whitlock Family Park for a Saturday barbecue, there's a process for using that park. There's a reservation process.
Because that involves administration, I think that we need to have a, like, just an overall understanding of what that means.
We'll come back to you.
So I'll be involved in helping with that because it does involve what our policies and procedures hold in the town office and what we need to do. So I can meet with all the committees that we're dealing with.
Walton Park, if you have the Walton Park file in there, there is a form that everyone had to fill out in order to use the park.
Yeah.
So that should not be like.
It could be a joint effort. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
So the Parks Committee will make, kind of.
We can just work together on.
Site, yeah.
So we'll bring it,
Development.
we'll table that discussion for next month. Now, we still do have under parks and park use discussion of the vendors market and discussion regarding the farmers market. These have both been requested by communities. We're gonna start with economic development, Joanna, and the vendor market.
Okay. I wanted to talk about something else, before I brought up that.
Under parks.
No, it's under economic though.
Okay.
I just wanted to let everybody know that, there's a daycare here in Mineral. It's been here since September. They take ages, 2 to 5. And, it's right there in town. I don't know if anybody's seen it. But, it seems that it's a Christian-based, daycare. And they're looking for children. So if you know anybody looking for daycare, there's one here in town. Its hours are from 7 to 5:30. If you want more information, I'll post it.
Parks.
Economics, now,
Wasn't economic development's goal.
Well, it's with our existing businesses.
so I wanted to talk, make a motion that we, have Miss Moon come up here and talk about the town property here where she can, and Jen set up a craft fair on Saturdays.
Got it. Okay. Nope, I got a clicky back. Go back.
So before our guest speakers make a presentation, Joanna has made the motion to allow for a vendor's market using town property. I need a second for that motion. Second. And we'll start with Mr. Johnson. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Wait.
Here.
Yes,
Okay.
We're.
No, go ahead.
with this vendors market, I mean, I feel like,
Okay.
again, with town administration and with all that we're having to do, I feel like we need to have a bigger discussion on what that looks like because the town has been trying to start street fairs and street markets using some of the businesses that are in town to close off like the back alley streets. So I would just want to work together with and make sure that we all have an understanding of what that looks like because the town has been trying to do more community involvement with these items.
Yeah, I think that collaboration is never a bad thing, right?
And hopefully I'm on the same page as you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so what we wanted to, Jennifer's with me because we'd like to do this together. Welcome to Mineral. It's a Saturday destination. So think about this for a second. I can't click. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So right now on Saturdays, you come in seasonal, you come into Mineral, walk through the farmer's market, go across the street to the church. Let's add a vendor's market. You also go to Mineral Mercantile, yesterday, today, visit some of our restaurants. It's a destination. Let's take it a step further. Add a flea market at Walton Park. People up and down the streets, shopping, eating at our restaurants, Mineral becomes a destination. So along those lines, with the success of the farmer's market, 17 years, about 30 vendors, $75 a season, $10 or $25 a day, depending on whether you're a vendor or a crafter. No flea market items. Been incredibly successful. And the town's very thankful. It's probably the most successful thing that we have in town. What we're proposing is across the street, the Mineral Artisan and Antiques Market. Same time, Saturday seasonal 8 to 12. We can start on the municipal lot until it's cleaned up to get a feel for whether or not it'll work out some logistics. Managed by us, we would have about 30 vendors, crafts, art, upcycled furniture, vintage, and antiques. Just a thought on the flea market, same time at Walton Park, managed by, we can determine that. Designated area, easy to set up, sawhorses and plywood. If there's a space, you can leave them set up for Saturday after Saturday. Space fee donated to the Mineral Fire Department. So now the question, I'm gonna go back, hold on. Can you bring me back?
I know.
Sorry,
Okay. You need just this one?
the big one of all four. Slide 5, that one, yeah.
Okay.
So why? We've all been talking about making this Floridasville. I bought the building to help. Unfortunately, renovating the building is too expensive for me. It's not gonna work. Jen opened up 2 years ago. A year and a half ago, and unfortunately, she's closing around Labor Day. Haven't been able to make ends meet. It's gonna be out of business. Mad Hatter Bakery is moving in the fall to a location near the lake with a bigger space. At the lake, there are 2 plazas coming in at the roundabout. There's another one by the 208 bridge and a 4th one on 522, all in the lake area. Hopefully this will help make us be more of a Gordonsville, but outside. So we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the buildings to go shopping inside, but we do have the parks. It will help with economic growth, community, and help it become a destination. Now, I know that one of the things that you're gonna be speaking on is administration. As with the farmer's market, we will do the administration. We have the business license. And as Jen has been running her business, it would be the same thing, but just outside. We're asking for support, no overhead, no fees. The business license and operational cost, just for Jen alone, is about $300 a month, even with the open market. So we're hoping that we can move Jen's Crafters outside with all of our crafters that are there now. Bring in some local artisans as well as some from Louisa and other crafters that are looking for a routine space with a lot of traffic. We're hoping that you see the same vision that we do and that we have your support.
There is a lot of art in this community. There's so many talented people. And the mission would remain the same like my store, is to have them have an opportunity to go somewhere weekly and sell their wares. And as a community altogether, we should be a big draw.
I like that there's somebody who has a vision that, or at least sees that there's so much talent here and it's would like to, do something to promote it and.
We've always had a vision, we're just willing to pivot.
Right.
So Debbie, where would you envision having the members market? Because the farmer's market is there until, well, I believe.
Across the street.
Across the
That was on the old school property at the exact same time.
That's what.
And I know that in your plan or what you had discussed before was to hold a flea market over there.
It was a vendor flea market, it wasn't really.
The reason that we, and no offense to a flea market, that we wanted more at Walton Park was to upscale items for sale in the same area along the theme of a Gordonsville.
It's difficult for an artist too, to have, fine art in a tent and have the tent next to you have a jump.
Oh, I understand. But when we envisioned, when this was a goal for the parks, it wasn't a goal that necessarily for a flea market or a vendor market, it was a goal for a different venue.
Yeah.
So,
And we're also not taking away from Crafters Alley. You know, they vet their vendors and we hope to work together.
we have it's a proven fact that nobody sells anything at Walton Park.
So
There's no
Walton,
traffic.
it's
There's no
like
traffic.
tucked behind.
Walton Park may not be able, you may not be able to use it every weekend because they have events there.
Then let me throw back out there that when we, if approved, when we move from the municipal lot to the school property, that the flea market take the municipal lot. And keep it in town.
Huge around here. I mean, they're a big draw to get people into.
Yeah, well, and that puts it back in the realm of what the council can authorize, right? We can't give you permission to use property we don't own and we don't own Walton Park.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So,
go to the environment and talk to them about the Walton Park, but I know they have their own events there too. So.
What's that empty lot beside BMW?
I think that-
Is that a big one?
yeah, the grass.
That's where they have the winter farmers market.
Understand.
The problem I see with using the municipal lot is that's minimal mercantile Saturday parking, and when you start using that lot, you're gonna take away from people coming to her because they're gonna have nowhere to park.
We're only proposing half the lot and there's still street parking.
So,
And that's taking one business over another.
Now, other vendors in town, like the Mineral Mercantile and the Yesterday, they can all come and set up their wares out there too. So our businesses, you know, if we do get another Mad Battery Baker, whatever, the baker could bring their things, you know. Whomever in town wants to sell their wares at this can also do that.
With,
A suggestion would be, what if you talk to the fire department and about the grass lot behind the firehouse? Because then you're still able to be seen by everybody.
Right.
They don't use that.
The landing.
I mean,
let's keep
I-
the conversation at the dais.
I
please.
understand and thank you for your comments. I appreciate the VFW because the location is perfect. But the grass lot behind the firehouse puts us in the same out of town vicinity as Jeff's Crafters is. People won't go over there.
And if you're here, then you'll be bringing business to the other local businesses right here on Main Street.
It's a draw for everything,
Yeah,
one stop.
So if council were prepared to give you permission to use the back half. That way we keep the front half clear for parking for other local businesses. If we were to say, okay, use the back half of that parking lot and town hall parking lot, we're not here on Saturdays. For the time being, until we get that park prepared in a way that's. Not disgusting.
I'm not sure.
why would you put the vendors in the back and have the parking in the front when you want them to be seen coming down the street to draw people in?
Well, it would give them more space, is what I was thinking, instead of encapsulating them on that one look.
I
But if you're
would, I
saying
would
that-
take either, but we were thinking more along the lines of Joanna being
In the
front, where you can see it and you're not slamming your brakes on.
And all the parking lot here could be used for business parking. People would rather drive on pavement than they would on gravel.
They use the town's parking for the.
And I am going to also put out there that we have thought a lot about logistics for next door. And we would be willing to rent a porta potty to support the vendors.
I would like to suggest though that you guys associate with Parks Committee.
Oh, absolutely. Joanna sponsored us on this and we wanted to bring it out there, but absolutely.
When would you be looking to start a Saturday event? Like how rapidly are you looking to get going?
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, around Memorial Day.
We have some travel things planned and stuff. But we wanna collaborate. It's all about the town. The community.
Yeah, and that gives a good 45 days to work out all the logistics of everything and
Thank you.
Thank you. I think as we continue on that discussion, because we are asking.
But I don't know if you need them.
From permission tonight. To continue on with that discussion, I think collaboration is important. I think that's now the third time tonight I've said collaboration is important. So having the town staff and the Parks Committee, Economic Development Committee, this is an opportunity to show the people of this town that we can all work together to make something great happen in this town. So let's not let that opportunity slip out of our fingers. So there is a motion on the floor to grant permission to use town property. So I'll go around the table and take a vote.
Can I ask about that? I think that I need a plan. I mean, I agree with what you all are talking about, but I need to see it on paper. We talked about a lot of places and a lot of things right here. Let's put it on paper. And you know what? We can even vote for it, that it's okay, but I need to see it on paper.
Okay. Any other comments? Nicole?
No, I'll work with Bernice, but the town was trying to work together to do a fall event for vendor markets and food trucks. And we were gonna close the back street and do all that. So whatever they come up with, we just need to incorporate some of the stuff that the town is trying to do with some of the vendors. Mineral Mercantile, that they do a fall event. So I asked her, would she be interested in trying to do like a street market in the fall? So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
And I don't think that look, we have enough people in this town. We don't have to do one or the other, right? I think if we have an established farmer's market and an established vendor's market, when we do a street fair, I mean.
Those vendors will probably be a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Combine them, have them running up and down Mineral Avenue, let's get permission to close it off. If we're gonna do it, let's do it, right? And I think that, again, it's an opportunity for that collaboration. For us, all departments to be hitting on the same level and making things great.
Well, not only that, but it will introduce these people to other vendors, and they'll meet local vendors here that they may want to invite to their other shows, their other locations. So it could be really good for everybody.
I think it's a good plan. I just want to.
No, I wasn't.
Here and there, and I just want to know exactly where they're going for each stop, because I think it's okay to be right there, whether it's people park on the street and walk.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think if it grows and you need the whole space.
And by the fall, you should be over the other place, right?
Yeah, I think so. So I think as long as we're talking about the municipal lot, starting roundabout Memorial Day, work with Nicole to set that date so that we can help to push and promote. So again, we do have a motion on the table. So I'll start with Olivia, and we are approving use of the municipal lot. Eventually, the park, which we haven't even named yet, so we can't specifically put that in a motion. Olivia?
Mr. Mayor, really quickly before we start actually voting, I agree with Bernice and that I would love to see specifics in this written and just clarity on what exactly it is that's being asked of us, whether we're being asked to form a resolution. It sounds like there is a great opportunity for a lot of collaboration and working together for the best interest of the town. And there were a lot of ideas that were thrown out. And it sounds like maybe there's still some planning that could be done to kind of shore up exactly what it is that we're voting on in this.
So at this moment, all we're voting on is allowing them to use the parking lot next door.
Okay, and then we'll vote yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. It is unanimous, so they have permission. Now, again, this is only step one of the process, right? So we want to know, once that park is ready, we'll have to do this again and give them specific authorization for the park. But we want to see communication amongst the farmers market, the vendors market, the town staff, anybody else that can participate.
And we'll set up a meeting, but our meetings are always on Saturday at the farmers market.
I think we need to consider, our staff doesn't work on the weekends, so is there any way you can have some weekend, I mean, some weekday meetings at all?
Okay, so moving to the next item is discussion regarding the farmer's market. So I wanna be very, very, very candid that this conversation is limited to the permission granted to use Whitlock Park. We're not discussing where the money is, who makes the money, where the money goes. That is not in the purview of the town council. We don't go to the bank and tell them what to charge for cash checks. So we're not discussing that. If it comes up, I will end the conversation. So we want to make sure we're discussing what's on the agenda, which is procedure for use of town park. That's what our purview is limited to.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
before we get into this full discussion, I just would like to disclose to the council and to the public and everybody gathered there that I am a vendor for the farmers market, and therefore I do have somewhat of a personal interest in this discussion. However, I do not feel that it is a conflict of interest that prevents me from being able to contribute meaningfully and with the best interest of the town in mind.
Yes. So I would like to suggest that we first discuss the specifics, and then maybe if there are questions and we need clarification on something, that we allow the manager of the farmers market to address the council. It is not my decision to make, but I think we need to start the discussion first, so we know what it is we're talking about.
Okay, my only thing is you don't have a business license with us, and you need to get a business license. You're an LLC now, so everybody else gets a business license. They're getting y'all have a business license, right, Joanne?
Well, I did.
Yeah, so you need to get a business license, $25.
Market manager, I'll pay for it for you.
So is there any other commentary on, again, use of the town park by the farmers market? I think if we're gonna-
I have one question. Is the farmers market set up every Saturday of the whole year? Or is it?
No, and I don't know the dates on this.
No, ma'am, we go from the first Saturday in May to the last Saturday in October, 8 till noon. We take November off. We come back in December, first and third Saturdays for 2 holiday markets, and we go 9 to 1 because it gets light later in the day in December. January through April, we go first and third Saturdays, 8 to noon. And then in May, back every Saturday.
I just wanted to know, I didn't know.
So any other discussion and commentary on the farmers market? Have we, I mean, we're discussing, are we gonna require the farmers market to have a town business license?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, and do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and I'll start with Mr. Hempstead.
I'm gonna vote by abstaining because I'm a co-founder of the farmers market.
Yeah, I think every business in town should have.
Yes.
Yes, it's not particular to any business.
Okay, so motion carries will require business licenses of.
You asked Olivia.
Oh, I'm sorry, Olivia.
Are you
Yeah.
for everyone here to buy a business license or just the market?
Just the market.
Okay.
Yes. Olivia, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So motion carries. Bear in mind, all businesses now, if we need to make the rule for one, the rule carries. So anybody using any business using our town park will be required to have a business license. All right. We are now getting to the point of our agenda where we're gonna come up with the Mineral Planning Commission discussion. We heard from the chairman of the planning commission, Mr. Cubey, during his public comment. I will turn the floor to Becky.
I'm asking that we censure Mr. Cubey for his actions taken at the January 16th meeting and also at the April 10th meeting, or what he did for that meeting. I have a transcript of the discussion that Mr. Snyder had with Mr. Cubey when he asked him, did he ask Mr. Hempstead to come to the meeting? And it said, why is he not able to come to the meeting? Nobody ever said that. He's here just a question. They don't want me to sit at the table is what Mr. Hempstead said. He said, I don't have the power to tell anybody who can sit at the table and who can't. But as far as Mr. Hempstead being there, he was the appointee as a liaison to the planning commission before, and Ron's not available to be there tonight. He's the only council member there, I think, but I don't know. I can't see out there in a way, so that's y'all's decision to make. And then Jim said we have 2 council members, then I said 3. You had no right to tell Mr. Hempstead to come and interfere with council business by telling him he could come and sit at this table.
It's directed to the council.
Okay, but anyway, you did, you admitted you did, and he has a right to be at the meeting. I have a right to be at this meeting. Michelle has a right to
Let's
be.
direct commentary to the council
Okay.
and one time.
But anyway, it was told that his position as liaison has been null and void, at least from the first of the year. So that was the problem. You caused a excuse me. You caused a problem.
There was a problem.
He caused a problem because he told him to come here and he's not on council. He does not have the ability to run the council. All right, also on the January 16th meeting, when they started talking about Michelle's property, he was very ugly and rude and saying that the other members, the homeowners beside did not know, but yet Mr. and Mrs. Speeden were in town. Were in the meeting, so they had to know. How would they be here if they didn't know? He was very ugly and rude. We had 2 commissioner people that got up and left. He was rude and ugly to Nicole and to Michelle. He kept banging that thing on Michelle, telling her she needed to shut up. And he let Mr. The Speedens talk and said they were loud. But when Michelle started talking, he started interrupting her. So I think he needs to be censored. And I suggest that we do that.
Any
Can I
other
make a comment?
comments?
I watched the video of that meeting that Mr. McGee was just talking about. And I thought Ms. Covert and Ms. Washington were being extremely rude, interrupting Mr. Kuby at his meeting. That was his meeting. And they were the ones that were interrupting, trying to get their agenda listened to. And they were talking all over Mr. Kuby. So I don't agree with what you said.
I have the minutes.
Well, I'm glad you do. I watched the video. I wasn't raising my voice.
No, I know, but we're starting to shout back and forth. One person talks at a time. Have some cool. Were you finished?
I'll see.
Were you finished? I don't want to cut you off, but one at a
All
time.
I'm saying is I watched the video and I watched those deliberately interrupting Mr. Kuby.
Okay. Mrs. King?
I'll go in a minute.
Who else? So I want to address a comment that was made. I think 2 people brought it up. Several people called me about it. So the 3 council members in the same place rule does not take effect for any place that would be generally open to the public. Now, if those 3 members of council had sat at this table, then that excludes the generally public, because the general public does not have access to this table. So the whole council can come to a planning commission meeting and sit in the audience and observe. Because it's open to the general public. We don't have to exclude ourselves from things that are open generally to the public. I will say, yes, I did make several comments at the last meeting, but I'm the liaison to the planning commission, and I couldn't be there that night because I was at home hacking up alone. So I did make comments. I sent a written statement that I asked the town manager to read and gave the planning commission some thought. Actually, I forgot to put in y'all Bibles. Working together and eliminating this kind of animosity. We're never gonna get the water system fixed. We're never gonna get the derelict properties fixed if we can't come to this table together and separate the personal opinions of each other and work for the betterment of the town. It's never gonna happen. So until we get to that point, I don't know, I truly don't know how else to express the absolute absurdity of some of this stuff. If you talk to the mayor of Gordonsville, or you talk to the mayor of the town of Louisa, and they say to me, Ron, how do you do it? You know how I do it? I spend 30 hours a week on the phone trying to calm people down. It's not my full-time job. So yes, we have issues. Yes, the last two planning commission meetings have gone so far off the rails, you can't even see the track. How do we fix it? So let's come together and come up with a solution. We've pointed out the problem. Don't come to me with a problem and say, figure it out. What's the solution?
Solution is council, stays at council, and planning commission stays at planning.
I disagree with that solution, and I don't have a vote. But I disagree with that solution.
No, I disagree with that as well. And the reason,
That is what caused all the problems.
But you were at the last meeting and we could hear you talking to him at the last meeting.
Well,
And
here,
so
I'm in a thing having to eat by 2, so, you know, I'm like 50.
But I'm just saying is you were there and we were there and you were, you know, participating and, you know, so it's not that there's something wrong with us. I mean.
I know, I didn't sit at the end of the table either and say, why aren't you, am I on the agenda? I asked the chairman to put me on the agenda. That was the last thing he said. You didn't ask him.
I didn't say that.
It's on tape.
We're not gonna argue back and forth. Mr. Hanstead.
All right, general comment. I went to the planning commission meeting because Ed asked me to go. He didn't tell me to sit at the table. That was my error. But this is a very big but. One of the other people on the planning commission, Doug, spoke, and you know it. Covert, McGee, and Washington, literally, if they had baseball bats, I'd be beat to a pulp. They were hollering and screaming at me, all 3 of them at the same, it's on the video.
Hey,
Watch the
it is
video.
not on the
The point
video.
is-
We're
the
gonna
point
use
is-
respect.
The point is, they were hollering at me, about, I can't sit there, I can't sit there. That was not their decision. The chairman sitting at the table, I went out into the lobby and talked because he said, and I'm quoting him, he said, I don't want to put on my, how to control 3-year-old, 3rd graders with those women in there. That was his direct comment to me. But the point is, he was the chairman, he was the one who should have made the decision, not these women yelling at me.
excuse me, I just want to remind the council that we do have guests in the house of junior age.
Right.
And I suggest that we act accordingly.
Refer to our fellow council members and professional staff, or we're not gonna make comments. So let's remember that. I just got done saying it. Let's come together with a solution, not a problem.
My solution was the chairman of that planning commission is the one that should have said something.
The start of the solution is we use respect. We don't have to agree with each other. We don't even have to like each other, but we will respect each other at this table.
Transparent.
All right. So
So we have somebody trying to address us.
Mr. Snyder's trying.
would council welcome,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Schneider, if you'd like to come up to the podium.
Twice I've had to use my third grade voice. Once we with a lawyer who wouldn't let me speak, and I told her that I didn't let third graders do that to me, and they wouldn't let them adult. It was raucous before the meeting started about where Mr. Hempstead was talking or was sitting. So yes, I use my third grade voice, which will echo off trees in any playground. Everybody got quiet. Mr. Hempstead and I went out and we talked. We agreed. I didn't say those women in there because my God, I work at school. I would never have said those women because that would be death. We got it done. You and I talked. You agreed to sit out. I think the meeting went well from then on. There were questions that we weren't able to answer, things we tabled. But I really hate using a voice that I use to calm down a playground. So, but I will if I need to, because my regular voice is not that loud. This is loud from my classroom. We resolved it amicably by talking. And we should leave it there because we resolved it then. And to go further with it is just bringing up stuff that we solved. We got through that meeting. Everybody was sitting down. And it was, I thought it was calm. The only strange thing was I kept forgetting things. But we got through it and we didn't need to yell. So I would say at this point, what happened in that last meeting was resolved. And I'm happy with the way it resolved. And I think we should move away from that.
So I think that at this point in time, I think we've heard some emotional commentaries from both sides. I think council needs to remember that council gets a decision at this table every month. The planning commission is advisory and must remain separate. I'm not saying what council should or should not do when it comes to censuring somebody. It's not up to me, it's up to you all to vote on that. I will say that as long as we remain separate and take the advice of our planning commission to heart as a council, if there's 4 of us sitting in the room, how are we giving them the ability to remain separate if we're sitting here watching over their shoulders? So I want you to be cognizant of that thought. How is it separate if we're sitting here watching everything they do? On the same page, I said in January, when you all elected me to take this role, professionalism and decorum. Those are the non-negotiables. So if you all agreed with that stance that I'm taking, then it is your job to make sure that I'm doing my job to keep that professionalism and decorum. And not any governing body within the town of Mineral. That's up to you all.
Can I speak? In January, some of the things that were really bothersome for me at the meeting was that the bylaws were voted in and then they were not followed. For example, one member would be given many chances to speak without others being given chances to speak or being told to shush or be quiet. Brian was shushed. Teresa Newton was given multiple chances to speak. So the bylaws were not followed by the person who had just written them and voted them in. I found that to be problematic. I think there was a lack of courtesy in that when I was speaking, I'd be given a chance to speak, and then, what I had to say wasn't what somebody wanted to hear, he'd start, slamming the gavel, and then I didn't know whether I should speak longer. So he said, you don't have all day, and I'm fine, how long do I have? And you know, it was just, it didn't seem like, he really, you know, just had a plan for if I could speak or not, or how long I would be able to speak. It just depended on, you know, kind of his, whatever, he was responding to what I was saying. And, another thing was that, Nicole, you know, was trying to talk and that he spoke to her angrily and dismissively and with a gruffness that I think is inappropriate for anybody to speak to a town resident. It was something that we had censored, you know, a council person for. And, you know, and then when I asked for for him to recuse himself from anything that had to do with business from my family, because he had been very accusatory, saying that I hadn't told him, you know, what it was I was doing with my land and, you know, and whatnot, which I didn't think was my responsibility. I just asked him to recuse himself because he was very emotional and then slamming the gavel, he was red in the face and raising his voice. And he never did answer me. He, you know, I asked several times and he never did answer. And as far as I'm, you know, in my position as a council person, if somebody asked me to recuse myself, there's no reason for me not to. I mean, if I have no skin in the game, there's no reason for me not to recuse myself because I trust the rest of my council to make a good decision. And I think he indicated to the other council members that he didn't trust them to make a good decision. He couldn't give up the control, you know, and let them decide. And I think that behavior caused two of his planning commissioners to leave in the middle of the meeting because they were unwilling to tolerate his behavior further. Well, that's what one of them said, and the other one followed out. One has subsequently quit or resigned, and the other one is in the process of. And, you know, there's been quite a bit of turnover. And so these were the things, other than personal attacks on me, these are the things that really bothered me. You know, that I saw at that meeting. And so I came to the follow-up wing meeting to see if it continued, you know, if this abrasive controlling, you know, continued, and if, you know, the council member, if the council was given an opportunity to speak, if they were allowed to participate, if there was a fair process. And it was, you know, even still at that second meeting, it was like, I'm not allowed to vote. If I were allowed to vote, this is exactly what I would say, and this is how I would do it. And then Teresa Newton would say those words, and, you know, it was clear that, he was still exerting that control. And I didn't see the respect of the planning members on the board that I would expect from the chair, from the planning commission. I didn't see the respect for the town manager that I would expect to see from the town manager. And I certainly didn't see respect for a citizen that I would expect to see from the town, you know, from our chair. And that's, you know, that was.
Any other commentary?
Yeah, with that being said, I'll make a motion that we censor Mr. Cuby. And you can write up whatever, but that he not be allowed to attack from his position, not use his position to attack it. In other words, and he needs to recuse himself with anything to do with Michelle. I make that motion.
We should consult the council and see if he can even censor a planning commission. They're not part of our. Not part of.
So before I allowed this to even come onto the agenda, I did consult with the attorney. We can censure any member of a governing body within the town. We do not have authority by the charter or by the ordinance authorizing the planning commission. We removed the authority to remove members from the planning commission without grounds of malfeasance. So a censure is is legally
I
censored.
don't wanna bring the one back that she quit for because she was being censored that night. She got told by the attorney that she was getting censored, so she quit and said she was stressed.
That's what you think.
This isn't on.
That is outside the agenda. So we have a motion, do we have a second?
I want to be clear on what it is. It's basically to hold him accountable on how he speaks to other people, and he follows what we have as guideline.
Follow the planning commission's set of bylaws, so theirs are separate from ours.
Okay, then I will abstain for now until I read those bylaws.
Okay. So will we continue it and finish the vote next month? You wanna do that? Or-
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
was there a second?
no, so there's been a proposal to table. And
I'm just asking if that's what she's at.
right, so Joanna has asked that we table the conversation until we've had time to read the bylaws of the planning commission.
I have a couple of questions before the conversation is completely tabled, just to help us inform any sort of conversation about it moving forward. I have a lot of thoughts as we've been having this discussion. I think that one of the things that is important for us to bear in mind is the way that our council and some of our constituents interact with each other is something that we have all acknowledged it can be problematic at times, and is something that we have all spoken about and committed to working to better, myself included. But barring perhaps Joanna and Stephanie, I think everybody sitting at the dais has had a moment where they have had a lapse of decorum or respect for another person who is at the dais at some point in their time serving for the town. And I agree with Mr. Schneider in that there are times when things need to be addressed in the moment. And one of the pervasive issues that has plagued this council is this tit for tat back and forth, where people get upset over something that happened. And rather than being the adults that we are and having the discussion in the moment or afterwards, once tempers have calmed down, in order to work together towards a better solution, it ends up coming before the council as a punitive measure. And that concerns me. That to me sounds like we are continuing the same pattern that has been an issue for us historically and that we've discussed many times, and we're falling back into the same pattern again. So I need more clarity, along with Joanna, on what exactly is being asked of the council. And I also would like clarity on whether there have been any proactive and collaborative efforts to communicate about these issues between Mr. QB and council members. And additionally, is this an issue that has come up with the actual planning commission itself? You know, as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, the planning commission has the ability to discuss the interpersonal issues that occur within the planning commission itself. Is this something that they are concerned enough about to bring forward and have a discussion of how they would like to handle it? Or are we spinning our wheels on more of the interpersonal conflict that creates bigger issues moving forward for us, as we have done traditionally?
What are the thoughts of the council?
I think ideally, if the planning commission were to kind of please itself and, just address these kind of things itself, that would be ideal. It's not really happen. And yes, he's standing, but I'm that would be ideal, but these things really haven't, I don't know, been addressed. And I didn't come at this, from a negative standpoint. At first, I talked, about it and, trying to figure out a better way of getting it resolved and, from January to March, and yet nothing changed. And then in March, it wasn't even on the agenda, and Mr. Kuby brought it up again. brought up 8th Street and 9th Street and Ms. Covert. And, you know, it wasn't on the agenda. I didn't bring it up. Nobody brought it up except for him and just started in on me again. And I felt very much harassed by that behavior. And it had nothing to do with anything that was being discussed that night. It had nothing to do with anything other than he had a desire to speak about that. And so, you know, the meantime didn't seem to help it. You know, me asking for help, you know, with this or asking for him to recuse himself. And, you know, all the, you know, kind of intermediate steps didn't seem to help it. And so I did take those measures, and I have never been discourteous or ungenerous or unkind to Mr. Hubie. I don't say harsh things about him. I've never accused him of anything. I don't say things about him behind his back that are, I really have never done anything to elicit or to deserve any unkindness back from him. And I really did take more positive measures, but even still, by March, this is still happening to me.
Did you speak with Mr. Snyder in charge of the planning committee about this? I guess that's kind of the point that you were making, Olivia.
Well, he just did it that one night, and we did talk briefly right after the meeting, and the meeting was over, and he's not the chair, and so he said that he would. Yes, we did talk about it. We talked about another concern that I had, and that he was going to think about it, and we would talk about it again, and we haven't had a chance to talk about it.
So we're getting a little off topic here.
Yes, but I just want to say I did make some more positive efforts to do this in a non-confrontational, non-public way to make this better, and none of it worked. I still was attacked in the last meeting without.
So at this moment, I need to call it back to the fact that we have a motion on the floor. We do not have a second.
Well, I was second. I just didn't, I wanted to give someone else an opportunity. But if it's helpful to the council to wait, to wait until next month to review the tapes, review the papers and whatever, I would be happy to wait. I'm not in any rush to do anything to anybody. I think I want this to be done well. This is a motion.
So then we have a decision, council. Do we allow for the original motion to die and request that the discussion be tabled for next month? Or do we accept a second on the motion and vote? This is up to you
I
guys.
suggest we table it until next month.
Okay.
And maybe we can come back with clear heads.
Or a resolution.
Yes,
So Becky, do you remove your?
I would move my motion at this point,
So then we will add this.
but it can come back,
Sure.
a big but.
So we'll remove it from, we're removing your original motion, and let's say next month, on next month's agenda, we'll add an item on there, discussion of whether or not this is gonna just remain dead, or we've seen some collaboration between the council and the planning commission. So that motion is dead. Moving on to the planning commission vacancy. So we have an ordinance in the town establishing the planning commission and dropping the number from 7 to 5. So if that's the case, then we have one vacancy currently on the planning commission, or am I miscounting somewhere?
We have 2 vacancies on the planning commission. We have Lauren Balls and I think and Nikki Dye.
But he's saying there should only be 5.
Yeah.
The next time we voted, it was for, maybe it from 7. From 5 to 7.
Why are we
When did
voting to go back?
I don't remember voting on that. We have an ordinance that says 5 from 2022.
But we voted on it like a year ago.
Did we? I don't remember that. So we would have
I
still
remember that.
7 people. Did we ever make an amendment to that ordinance?
I don't think there was an amendment or ordinance amendment. No.
Is that something that we need to do? This is more a question for the attorney. Because I don't think we can just vote to override our law. We have to actually change it if that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, Ron, you'd have to amend the ordinance that states the number of members. Otherwise, you've got to try to fill all of the seats.
Okay, so, and it's actually in the reverse, we have an ordinance that says it's being lowered from 7 to 5. So then we would only have one vacant seat currently, right?
Mhm.
I'm literally trying to do this math, and apparently I'm not great at math.
Why don't you ask Mr. Booth?
Unless the planning commission wants to change it to 7, and then there's a process that we need to go through. This is a council discussion. This is not people sitting in the audience discussion. This is a council
I
discussion.
think five is, yeah, what,
So they asked that it be changed to 7, I'm not sure why, but
Well,
we
it was
went
always
with
7.
it.
It was always 7 for years and years and years since 1902.
Back down to 5,
22, it was dropped to 5.
and they brought it back up to 7.
I don't remember that, but it doesn't mean we didn't do it.
Um,
I just don't remember it, but if we are changing the ordinance from 2022, putting it back up to 7, I'm fine with that. I think the more minds, the more collaborative they can be. We need to change the ordinance.
I think they're having difficulty maintaining. Yeah. I mean, is it something that?
members are dropping like flies.
Well, and that's why it dropped from the 7 to 5 in 2022, is because if you'll remember, Mr. Snyder had the conversation with then Andrea Erard and said, can we lower it? And so the ordinance was prepared with the lower number.
I think we're at 5. We will be at.
When we pass the ordinance, okay. So I think at this point, I think, Mr. QB, would you,
Think that it was set by ordinance for years. And 3 years ago, the planning commission was having difficulty of having forums for the regular meetings. It was reduced to 5. It wasn't asked for, I don't think, but it got reduced to 5, so the thought was they could get 3 out of 5 members and hold meetings. It's still deteriorated to a point to where there was hardly any official meetings going on, and council decided to recreate it and to go back to 7. There wasn't any planning commission, to my knowledge, advising or requesting that, but they went back to 7, which is what it originally had been. And that's what it is. We've had some 7 members, but we've lost some and continue to lose some. That's what happened to the previous planning commission too. At that time, the planning commission did not have support as far as secretarial help and other things to the meeting, which was said to contribute to it. We did, the clerk was helping with our planning commission.
so I think that for this specific item, we need to advertise that there's a vacancy on the planning commission. Anyway, does council authorize the town clerk to advertise such vacancy?
Are you advertising 1 or 2?
At this point, I think we need to just advertise the one.
Okay, can we talk it through? If there's 5, so we have Chairman QB, Jim Snyder, Tony Williams, who is still on the planning commission, Brian Thaler, Teresa Newton. That is 5. So if we're keeping that 5, we take down the vacancy that we have right now.
We're already
Yeah,
posting it.
change your ordinance. The ordinance is 6.
The ordinance is 5.
No.
Can you pull the ordinance from 2022 and show it on the screen? I was trying to find out what is the manpower necessary for a planning commission? And when I looked at our ordinance from 2022, it said that it was a reduction from 7 to 5.
Can you make a change? 23-ish or something, I don't know, change, and I've only been here since July.
That could very well be it, but I want to make sure whatever the
July
process is a legal process.
I don't think
I mean, it just rings a bell, but it could just have been that we just added it.
It's on the website under planning commission.
on the town's website, I think.
It's right here. You got it? Yeah, there it is. It says members of the planning commission from 7 to 5.
So then if we're going to, if the planning commission prefers to be at 7, then we need to amend this ordinance, we need to change, we need a new ordinance that states it would go back to 7. Is that, am I, it is, right? Well, if the planning commission prefers it, then council just takes the action. I think, again, more minds, more collaboration is never a bad thing if you can get.
You're not gonna get the people, they just don't wanna do it.
It's
We've
just
had it
another
open
one.
for how long? Did y'all get any applications? They go.
So really, my suggestion,
Can I know I'm interrupting, so I'm asking, can I say that you obviously had 7 members, because 2 have resigned, and we have 5 left, so you had 7. And the planning commission didn't create that, that was created by council. So you may not be able to find the record, but council made it 7 and had 7 people appointed. 2 are now absent. If you wanted to go back to 5, the attorney is your legal advisor, but if you want to go back to 5, I would think you'd have to revise the ordinance in order to do that, which you can.
well, that's the point I'm making, is I don't think there's an ordinance moving it to 7. Because that's not good.
Yeah, it's probably in the minutes, but you gotta go through the minutes to find it.
But I wanna make sure we're doing it legally.
But I don't think it is a resolution. I don't think we ever passed a resolution, but we did vote on it.
Okay,
I don't think we had an attorney at that point.
you could very well be right. So I think, and this doesn't need to be a motion, it can be just a consensus, I think that we request that this be added to the agenda of the planning commission to discuss whether they'd like council to keep it at the current ordinance of 5. Or would they like it to be a body of 7? And then make that recommendation back to the town council at our next meeting. If you don't mind me adding something to your agenda. I just want to make sure we're covering the legality of it, because if we're only at 5 by ordinance, then we don't need to authorize advertising a vacancy that doesn't exist. Is council okay with that? Asking the planning commission to weigh in on what the body will be.
Maybe somebody could look and see if actually we did.
I did, look.
Oh, it's not in the meeting.
We don't have another
Okay.
ordinance that states bumping it back to 7. All right, so we're tabling that for next month. Next thing is the 2026 budget review and fee schedule. So the first one is the 2026 budget review presented by the town manager. Nicole, you have the floor.
And Kelly, the treasurer, can chime in as well. So you guys received another copy of the budget because the formatting that was loaded to the agenda and minutes, it took off the totals. You don't have the totals of the budget. So you received another copy of the budget that shows the totals, not hashtags.
Council, do you have any questions for the town manager regarding the draft?
It's 25 actual is just year to date, right? So that's.
So, yeah, 25 actual. So there's FY 25 current budget that was adopted. 25 and then some appropriation for like land and the water grant. And then 25 actual is what we have spent here today. And then FY 26 requested is what we're requesting. For presenting the budget as requested. You guys may have questions. This is the format of what it will look like from here on out. We tried to do this last year. I mean, not last year, we didn't have the FMS system. Now we have FMS. This is what it looks like and what it will look like when we do the budget.
I have a question. I've had people approach me and ask, the county is given rebates for taxes paid. The county has approved 1% or 2% rebates on the real estate tax.
Yes.
And I've been asked, is Mineral gonna do it? It's their money.
We have not discussed that. I think Kelly can comment on this. As the administrator and as the treasurer, I think that we're at a position where every year we've done something. We increased water rates, but we're just now getting to a point where we're trying to fix our water. Before that, I think it was, we decreased after increasing the real estate tax. We then decreased the water rate, so you washed.
Flip that, we increased the water and
Decreased the real estate, so all you did was wash out what you're doing in the town. My concern is that we have to be able to function and survive and be able to address the water situation. Address the town properties, address your buildings that need a new roof, the old town hall building. We've done a patch on it and it's survived the patch, but there's another little drip. We have to fix the plaster inside the town hall. This is where our laser group is meeting during the week. There are things that we have to do as a town. And I don't know that the town can justify a rebate this year.
I am relaying because
Yeah,
I've
I
had citizens and that are concerned, says if the county's gonna give a rebate for the town, I mean, we're paying double tax.
Right.
And my county's people out there saying
We've
that.
lowered the town of Mineral lowered their real estate tax already.
So
The county did not do that, so you can
what
tell
is
them.
our current ratio? So it's like 20 cents for every $100,
Yes.
right?
And also the county is giving up EMS slots and they're giving up this shelter, which is full all the time. They're giving up these really important, they're doing that to give people, and people don't, on average, gonna have like 20, 30, 40, maybe $100 rebate, which is, not a lot of money.
I mean, you gotta look at it too. The county has houses that are $1.5 million
But
on
the
the lake.
lake is carrying.
That's the problem, yeah.
But that's where
I'm
we're
just
under,
really-
I completely.
Yeah, it'd be like
It is-
$12,
It is something that you guys can talk about, but it's not something that I think, and the treasurer can speak on this, looking at our budget as well, that I think that right now the town can address.
I think it's a big, don't get me wrong, I would love a rebate, right?
Right.
More money in my pocket. But we have a water crisis that we have got to resolve. We've got an infrastructure crisis like no other small town in this area. I mean, they're just not facing the issues that we're facing right now as a town. So we need to be thinking about those things. But also we need to be educating our residents too. Look, it's 20 cents per every $100.
Okay.
The county is 72 cents.
They went up 8.5%.
Yes, and the percentage is something that we don't have a choice on, right? So the increase in the actual value of our property, we can't, because mine would be valued in the millions if it was up to me, right? But so the county kind of sets that standard for us, and then we can play with what we charge our resident for the town tax, and we can fluctuate some in there, but at 20 cents on every $100, we're not. I think mine in total is like $400 and something for the year. So we're
How
not,
did you get so low?
I don't know, but it's not.
Well, I'm not sure about, I'm talking about county, I'm thinking of
Yeah,
county.
no,
County is
just
way
count,
down
my
here.
county had some more zeros, but in my backyard, it's like $50.
Yeah.
Because it's on separate plots. So we're not talking about a massive amount of money, but then from a budgetary standpoint, in the hands of our treasurer and town staff, they're like, it's only $50.
Yeah,
Like, how do we spread that $50 to all 50 things that the town has to address?
Well, I agree with what you're saying and what you're saying too, Nicole. as far as the water, let's just do it. Let's
Get it
don't
done.
sit on it. We need to do it. It should have been done last year.
We're working hard to make
Yeah.
sure we don't.
And just don't lollygag.
We're getting all these.
And let's get it done.
Yeah.
We need to get it done. Stop talking about it.
Right.
Bird that tomorrow, dig a well.
Here's one thing that's stopping us is, we're using one contractor and he's got other jobs and we're in line and we could go faster and we could get more done and save more money if we were to, have other, contractors or whatever, but we don't want everybody's feelings and we don't want, so we, because we try to do in town and we try to do local everything, but we have to decide as a town, are we gonna do this? And, I want you all to seriously think about, we always have used the same, company and they're wonderful and all that, but should we explain that we're just gonna have to spread it out a little bit more just to do stuff faster? Are you guys okay with that? Can we just move on?
Remember that we
Let's
want-
start into your family.
We want to keep the conversation to the draft budget. I think it is important, that's an important aspect of the budget.
We'll talk about it with water next.
Where that money
Let's do
goes
that.
as far as contractors, but we want to stick to the draft budget conversation. This is all stuff that we're going to discuss more in depth for the next several months before we approve the budget. So, Nicole, to bring it back to the draft budget, is there any action you needed council to take this evening?
Well, we're gonna need to pick a work session date to
Okay.
do a work session for the budget, and then you'll have to eventually pick the public hearing dates, but I wanted to bring your attention though to the fee schedule. That is page 58. With the help of the clerk, we were able to put just kind of everything on one page. The things that are highlighted in blue are new fees and the things in green are revised fees. So we're adding subdivision, plat review, boundary line adjustment, plat review, and change of use. Change of use means I took a house, I made it a business. That's a change of use that now becomes a business. It is under different scrutiny to what it needs to have by the building department. So when you change a use, you're now looking at how many exit do I have? What exit signs do I have? Do I have a smoke detector? Do I need a fire suppression? So we need to have that because we have a lot of individuals that are buying property that are zoned to something specifically used for XYZ or a house that was used for residential, and they're not changing that use. So I want to bring that forward because not a lot of people understand that or know about that. People who do business in the county or release buildings in the county do understand that.
Now, the fee schedule is something that we need to make a decision on
Nope.
during the budget process.
Yes, we'll have to have, that'll be a public hearing as well.
Okay.
What was the boundary line adjustment prior to the 500 or 750?
We never had one. So there was only just a zoning permit of $150. We are
That's a lot of
getting,
money for a boundary adjustment.
well, that's according to market. So we looked at surrounding towns and looked at the counties. So when I was in Orange, we did surrounding counties, looked at what their fee schedule was, and we went off of that. Again, what's been happening over the last year since I've been here is we're getting a lot of plat review, subdivision, boundary line adjustments. A boundary line adjustment is taking on our map the 25-foot blocks and combining them. So what the 14 did down here and what I did, you adjust the boundary lines, subdivide your plat. Or you bring if you have property, you're subdividing your plat, but you're moving the boundary lines. These are boundary lines. Each individual parcels in the map from 1890 are actual boundary lines. Today, our code says you can't build on that small little 25-foot parcel, or some have a 50-foot or whatever it is. So it needs to be done appropriately. A lot of what's happened in the town is people are taking just the map and they're just keeping the blocks, not getting it surveyed, approved to say these 4 blocks make up one parcel. They're only just continuing to use the blocks. Down the road, that's gonna cause a problem because if they never get these pins set for their plat, then it's an issue for someone down the road. Eventually, it could be that their setbacks get changed. Now there's a pin on someone's property, like it's just confusing. So it's taking a different look at these when they come in. And what that means, these take a long time.
So, but
So we need to ask for that.
that's a really good question. Actually, one that I wrote down. So when we discuss the fee schedule, that's when that will come up. I think the town manager right now is just giving us, hey, the heads up, it's coming.
Okay.
So now, Nicole, I don't want to step on your toes.
Nope.
But, the next page is the suggested schedule for putting out the agenda requested by the town staff, so that we know we have to follow a certain process, right? To approve our agenda, we know this. So this puts us in line with that state required agenda process. Now, Nicole, you do want us to make a vote on it, am I correct?
No, this is just that we need to pick a date for your like work session. So, you know, to get Stephanie and it was a staff effort. We're looking at and Stephanie put this together, by the way. We're looking at the April 15th through May 9th. We need to have a work session. You may have 2 work sessions. I don't know how long. A work session doesn't have to be the same as your council meeting. Council meetings take a long time.
Right.
Normal localities do work sessions in the beginning of their meetings, or they just do them as one meeting. So it just depends, but I would schedule your work session and I would do that now because your agenda has to be approved and done by July 1. We have to have we have to have our public hearings held. We have to do all of this by July 1, and people go on vacation. People are not going to be here. We have dates. So I scheduled everything out through May 19th, leaving June as if we have to fall into June. I don't care if we fall into June. I just want to get this all in here and looked at.
So council, do you recommend a date to have a budget workshop? And I would say, let's try to stay within the April 15th to within reason. I don't think that's asking too much. Understanding that today is the 14th.
Yeah, like May
I know, I know.
Like May 7th.
We left
To
it.
be really, like really,
So we have May 7th. Does
yeah,
anybody have-
May 3rd, April 30th. I mean, we're getting really
Let's
close.
do one at a time.
I can't do April.
Okay.
Okay, so can I. Okay, so we have May 7th. Was the other one suggested? Mr. Hempstead, are you?
I could work on May 7th.
And are we doing a
And
6th?
I have to check out what it's made to make sure on that.
And so are we calling it May 7th at 6:30? That works for you, Olivia?
Yes, that works for me.
Okay, so let's go May 7th at 6:30. And I think we can decide at that point if we want to continue a meeting if we need more time. Does that sound reasonable to everybody? If we get through it and we're all falling asleep at the table, we can continue it and do a second half of that workshop.
Can I just ask, so are we planning still to have the public hearing on the 12th so I could get to with the Central Virginian to get that posted? Or do we want to
So then
agree
we
to
do,
date?
we do need to approve.
Well,
But
no, we can move we don't have to have it on the 12th. I think you don't make your public hearing until the 7th, after you've had your work session, because you won't know if you'll be there in time.
Okay.
So I don't know. if we'll be able to
Okay,
do
that
the
makes
12th.
sense.
So let's hold off, we'll do that on the 7th. If I could ask from the staff on the 7th, can you have, assuming that we will complete the workshop on the 7th, can you have a proposal of dates where we can see when it has to be published? That we're giving enough notification to the public and when the public hearings are. I think if you make that recommendation to council, we don't have to sit here with our cell phone and kind of figure
That's fine.
out what works.
Yep.
And I know it's very specific
Yep, it
about
is.
the dates that need to be.
It follows the work session. So if you have to have 2 work sessions, then
It would
Yeah.
change that down,
Mhm.
okay. All right, moving past the budget calendar, was there anything else on the, specifically on the budget that you wanted to bring up?
Were we voting on that day or were we for that, like doing a vote for that, or we're just saying?
It's just consensus.
Okay, we're-
From the 7th, actually, so. All right, we're gonna move on to reports. I know it's getting late, so I'd like to try to move through this as quickly as possible. Town manager's report is in your booklet. Nicole, was there anything specific you wanted to accentuate about your report?
I just want to talk about just, Luckfield and the Little League. You guys can read and just to say that, we should have a final audit for FY 22. He sent us a draft. We're just waiting on, some administration stuff and he'll send it to us. So the Little League, Luckfield, bathrooms, there's a draft policy / procedure. When I spoke to them, they wanted us to, they had a meeting with their board and they wanted us to come up with what this policy procedure looks like. I sent back and said that we wanted to know the same for them. I did not hear back. So I created, Love Park, Luckfield bathrooms situation for the town. This is an administrative function. We would be monitoring. We'd have to lock the doors. I have to get an estimate from our cleaning staff to see if once a week they would go over there and just kind of check on the bathrooms and disinfect the floor and the toilets and the sink. But these are our town responsibilities. We don't have to vote on this tonight. I don't like waiting an extra month because I think we need to open it up, the bathrooms up. But they're wanting to know what our responsibility would be as a town. The way that I see this and what I'm hearing is that the town would use these more than just the Little League. Little League is very seasonal. The idea is to have dryers put in, minimize toilet paper. For Little League to actually have toilet paper on hand in case it runs out. To somehow lock these, whether it's key or keypad, but the town would open them and lock them. And if the Little League needed to use them, someone would have a key, one key, whoever that is, to unlock them or a code. But they would be responsible for locking them back and we would just keep monitoring them. That's how I see this. I don't know of any other way to do that. It is something that the town has at the park, and when mothers bring their kids to the park, they have nowhere to wash their hands, change a diaper, have a little one go to the potty. In other places I've been in, cities and counties at parks, a lot of rural areas have porta johns, but a lot of towns have actual bathrooms.
I think it would be a good partnership. We could help maintain some of the cost off of the Little League and maintaining the building, keeping it clean. I think that makes perfect sense. And I'll tell you, when we were out there Saturday doing the cleanup, of course, because I'm a grown adult, as soon as I got there, I had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And even the porta potties are locked. So, not that I would have used one, but I think having the public availability, I think it does a service. And again, we're gonna have 3 parks, all right there in that general area.
The bathrooms are not done.
No, yeah, that's right.
I went to a meeting and I was asked specifically by a certain person, will y'all do the work to hook us up to your sewer system? Because it was not hooked, it was hooked up to its own sewer at that point, which I didn't know. But anyway, I got it done. They're telling Nicole that never happened, but that's not true. Why would I bring it to the council?
Yeah, I remember that.
If I wasn't asked if we could, and I brought it to the council, we agreed to do it. So,
And I think Bernice was with you at the meeting and has left, and not to speak for her, but I think she was at the meeting with you just so that everyone knows it was 2 council people that went.
right, and I was, I did what I thought, and I thought they were using them last year because it got done enough for them to use it last year. And I asked somebody and he said he thought they were done, but he didn't know that they're not.
So
They weren't.
So I'm at a standstill because we have a policy procedure that I'm gonna present to and submit, well, I think I sent her a draft copy and said, let me know your thoughts. If council is okay with everything that's on this draft copy, we'll move forward, but I feel like this was a way to kind of stall to get the bathrooms done. I don't know if they're willing to help do anything. I do know that they're building this, baseball field down in Cuckoo, but this is our park. This is our.
But it will not, this baseball field down here will not be used till maybe the end of the season. Because they thought they were gonna be further along and they're not.
So, I mean, I can ask them, I can get quotes and I can ask them if they wouldn't mind, doing a percentage. I can get all the quotes to fix the bathrooms and gather them up and bring them, and we can talk about them, and we can ask, you guys can decide how much percentage they should be, willing to pay towards fixing the bathrooms. I don't know how that works. I just know that we have bathrooms and we're told that we were gonna use them, but.
So we don't even have access to them at the moment.
No, I don't have a key. I've asked.
So we're talking about potentially a budget item, to update, renovate, sanitize, public use bathrooms we don't even have a key to. So I think that's the priority if I'm missing something here.
Well, no, I agree. And I'm trying to do this in
It's hard.
consecutive, with the budget process. It's not, I don't think it's gonna cost, that much for them to clean two bathrooms.
Bad shape.
Yeah, but I don't know about fixing them, but just, we have some money that's in, some contracted services, but again, I won't know until
we can get in there.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I know they were bad.
I know Hank turned the water on and he heard something leaking, so he turned it off.
Alright, so if council agrees with this, I think the start is gaining access so that we can figure out what we've got access to.
Yep. Can we work with this kind of draft policy procedure that they can go off of and add to if they want? Okay, that's.
I would run it through just as again, collaboration, run it through parks, but I think that I don't see an issue with it.
That was the town manager's report.
Right, but there's also in here is the conference room.
Yes,
proposal. I, for one, have now spent the last 3 hours feeling like I'm yelling. So one of the parts of this proposal is microphones, both for the dais and for the podium. So I think we need to authorize the staff, if council decides to do so, to. Am I missing something?
Hold on, can I?
This is it.
Yeah, they're not very up there.
The microphones are only for the recording. So it only picks up our voice for the people that watch it tomorrow, essentially, or if you're on Zoom. So in this room, it didn't pick up. It was supposed to. There was supposed to be another speaker up there, and that part of the project never got installed originally when this was put in. So we have a couple, if I can get some explanation here, we have a couple of proposals, right?
Yeah, so we have two proposals in here. I met with two companies. The first quote in here is for $5,804.04. They are suggesting 2 TVs to update these TVs, 9 microphones, and labor. So, because I see the TV would just be like, Ms. Moon today, if she had her iPad, she could just boop and send it right up there. and be in control of it. And then one over there.
When you're sitting here, you can't see it.
Right. So then I met with the second company who their quote is a lot pricier. It's over $11,000. But their price includes 2 speakers. This is their suggestion in the back. So members of the audience can hear back there. But it also includes 9 microphones, 2 TVs. They also submitted along for your review, just their itemized pricing list. So if we wanted to pick and choose, we could also do that.
So we just had the conversation, obviously, money that's not growing trees. And if it does, we don't have any of those trees. So I think the concern that we have right now is the audio in the room. Is this something that we can, and you might not know this, like, is this something that we can piecemeal? So like if we say, yes, go ahead and spend the 2,600 to get microphones, and we 6 months from now add the second TV and those kind of things, or is it all or nothing?
So I know for sure with, I'm gonna say it wrong, if it's Avia or Avia, they were fine with us piecemealing it. That's why they gave us the itemized list.
I think that is really missing when you're watching the videos, you can not see who's speaking publicly. So, yeah, and then for future maybe.
Well,
have a
so
camera.
the other problem is that we can't, the reason why we wanted at least one TV to be able to screen share is because we can't screen share. We have to have a cord that plugs in to the TV, or she has to put it on her computer and then they have to take the mouse and then stand up there and do what Ms. Min did. So that's where we were headed with that, because you can't, it's not beneficial for presentation.
Because these are smart TV.
No.
He did mention the possibility of like a Fire Stick or, he told me this TV right here will last us forever. But it's turning it into a smart TV that becomes the issue.
So he suggested using a Fire Stick.
Chromecast.
Yeah, we can use something like that. He said, obviously not all platforms talk to each other, so maybe Mac won't talk to it or Windows, and I don't know off the top of my head what doesn't talk to it. But that's a possibility.
And then we could move the TV from the lobby in here if we wanted them on both sides.
We considered that too, just know we're gonna have big bracket holes that will have to be repaired.
We can try one. So those are things to think about. What does council think?
Yeah, the microphones are important. One problem, how much is
I
one
think it's
television?
important, what I swore last time, I won't go spend any money.
Six months, $650 for one TV, that is not.
That's one quote, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not that much money.
That must be a Samsung.
Well, I was gonna say you can get them at Costco for, 600, so that's not an unreasonable amount of money, really, I mean, it's not.
So you can get it on Black Friday and pay $150.
Yeah, I guess, if you go.
You still get the same warranty.
I won't give what.
You call up and order it and you pick it up at the store.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Looking at that, budget's not good.
So what does council want to do?
I seriously have sat over there quite a while before I got on town council. And
You can't do it.
And you can't hear when you get somebody up here that speaks softly. Olivia, I'm calling you out. You can't hear her. And the difference, is when you talk loud, it changes the tone of your voice. You don't sound sweet and innocent anymore. You sound aggressive and anxious. I think the microphones are a necessity, and I think that for us not to approve them, shame on us.
I think if we just got the microphones now.
And then please mail it.
Yes.
Nicole has a question. I'm sorry, you were done. I apologize.
That's all. I want to know if we go ahead and get microphones, if that's what you guys approve, and they come in and they don't work with what we have, what do you propose that we do? Do you propose that we buy equipment that works with the microphones. I'm asking this because I have seen where older equipment will not work with newer equipment. So it's
Can they
just,
tell you?
yeah, they'll be able to tell us, but we'll have to wait until the next meeting. That's all I'm saying, like, how do we wanna work through that?
Why don't we? Council would have to make a motion to approve the town staff to authorize installation of microphones not to exceed. So this, for the microphones, it's like 26, 22. Am I reading that right?
I don't.
Or is that? Got labor on there. Oh, okay, I just, that was like, I, good question, because I didn't think to look at that. Making sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh wait, this says nine.
That's not including the microphone.
Right.
That's just
But that,
something charge, it's a fuel charge.
so that unassigned fuel and labor charges. It is for everything, see mounting hardware, labels, network terminals, fiber termination, audio, video network.
So your microphones, your gooseneck microphone, tabletop, telescope is $2,518. But then you need to look at tax or
Installation.
retail sale and, you know.
Well, even just the wiring it to some.
Wiring it, I mean. Well, then perhaps by next month, we can have an actual total that we don't sit here and figure out and we can order them then.
Well, we know this was 58, that's not a
American
lot.
AV.
I'm comfortable with the 5800. I don't think that's excessive.
If we look at American AV, that's tabletop microphones, 50-inch Samsung and two TV mounted configuration of the setup. We're at the same price we're looking at for just the microphones and
Right.
installation on the other.
Right, so we get
So,
everything, you know, and we need to be able to project and just, maybe we could cut off one of the TVs if we need to, really.
so is council comfortable making a motion authorizing the staff to purchase microphones or to accept the American AV contracts not to exceed that amount? I would set a limit. I wouldn't do it, you know, not to exceed 6,000.
I'm gonna make a motion that we authorize them to negotiate up to 6,000
Through American AV.
to American AV.
Do I have a second?
I'll second
Okay, so we have the motion by Ms. Dr. Colbert, excuse me. Second by Mrs. Von Art. Olivia, I'll start with you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I have vote, Mr. Hempstead.
It's $6,000 for 9 microphones.
Well, then they'll
Yeah,
have
speaker.
the second smart.
Well, this wouldn't include the
This
speakers.
one includes the second smart.
It's
TV.
also,
So we'll be able to show
I
the
thought we were
room.
going to do just like. That's what we were talking about.
But if you look at the AV contract, it's less than just microphones to the other company. By the time you pay the.
Why don't we talk to this company and ask them what just microphones are?
It would
It's not
be,
something we have to make a decision on tonight.
it would be 3411
Why don't we do?
Plus the labor.
plus labor, whatever that labor would be. They don't break it down for labor, but.
That was that, no? You can say.
So yeah, we were at the voting standpoint, so everybody else said yes, and we're ready.
Are we still including the TV or is this just?
Yeah, this is to approve the.
up to $6,000.
Why is the TV necessary?
So that people can see what's happening on both sides.
I have hearing aids. I hear everybody fine. And I'm just, I'm gonna abstain. I just don't think it's worth the money to spend.
Okay, so motion carries with a majority vote. Okay. So next on the agenda is the treasurer's report. Sorry to make Kelly sit here this long, just to get to the treasurer's report. Her report is in writing. Kelly, do you have anything you want to just point out or exemplify?
No, just that we have all revenue and expenses are accounted for, year to date. With the exception being the 1 month in our new financial software system. With the exception being July, which is in the old system. We're waiting on the auditor to give us best practices for moving those transactions into the new system. We can kind of go either way with it, but we're wanting to do it the right way, so we're kind of waiting for a little guidance from him on that.
Does council have any questions for? I think her report is.
I just say
very-
awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, just really, we know there's been a long, arduous process for you guys. And that, you know, it was like really tough, and thank you for doing it, yeah.
So Kelly put a lot of effort into, and Stephanie, into getting the water policy up and running with disconnect notices and having established just a very routine structure on how that is applied. They've taken that and applied that also to property taxes and anything else that the town has to collect. So you know, along with the financial management system, we've put in place other guidelines to make sure that we're keeping up to date with what's going on with the town's finances for collection.
I'm really proud of what she did with the water, because apparently we're just letting people, you know, our practice had been to just, when people didn't pay their water bill, we just didn't do anything, you know, and it's so nice that we now have a standard operating procedure that's fair for everybody, and she's been able to transfer that to everybody, and she's very kind and big-hearted and works with our clients, and you know, in the best way she can to get them whatever help she can to, you know, get them water, and I'm really proud of the way we're handling it, and I'm very proud of Kelly and how she's been able to do this with a heart, because our town should have heart, and it's just nice to see, you know, we can cut people off, but do it with, you know what I mean, do it with heart and with kindness. And
Are there still a lot of people that have not paid?
No.
Everything is good?
Not fully, but we are on the right path.
Is it anybody, honestly, that are really not able to pay?
I am sure that there are, and we have reached out with them and let them know, please contact us, we will work with you. We have set up 3 or 4 payment plans with people now who just can't pay that big water bill amount that they owe, but we are working with them, and there are still a few people that are we are still looking to reach out to them. Disconnections will occur this week,
Yes,
so.
and Lloyd said that's a program.
Yes, I made a note of that, I did, so that we can pass that
That's something that you can.
We have
give that information,
Yep.
and they can look into it. If
We have
they need to have help, look into it, let me know.
Okay, thank you.
We have received a check from that resource too, somebody
Okay.
to help on somebody's water
If
bill.
they don't understand or know what to do, let me know.
Thank you.
There's also a report in the system of like the top 10 users. Obviously, the trailer park is on there,
That's
but
Becky.
the laundry,
but it allows us to see, and Kelly to look at who on a residential side has high usage, and could it possibly be a leak or whatever. So that helps us to help notify and reach out if there is.
Right. Because they may not even realize they have a leak.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I have that same thing, is you get this huge bill, but you know, the town knows it before you do. And so they're getting really quick at getting somebody out there to help them, you know, titrate their water and.
And if they can't
And
pay for
everything.
that week to fix that, maybe this organization will help them also. Let me know.
So also included in your agenda packet is the DMV report. If you look, the total monthly revenue, so in the last 30 days, the DMV has taken in $794,254. But the town's revenue, the money that actually goes in our account, is 37,145. So we're starting in this report now to show both of those numbers. All right, moving straight along, any committees specifically have a report they want to make to council?
I lost my contact with this because she's not doing it anymore, so I need to find somebody to do it. The only thing I have with the fire is, they are getting that new truck that they replaced for the one that was wrecked 2 years ago. And they're replacing that truck, and some of the guys are going out to Wisconsin to. Wow. To make sure everything is what they want to put on it.
Nice.
And, cemetery, we've had a few problems, but we think we handled it, or we are handling it. So other than that, I don't have anything.
Any other committees?
No, I just, want to make an appointment with you next week to go over a couple things. Stephanie?
Oh, with me? I thought you were looking at Nicole.
She's leaning back, I'm in your face.
I'm like, yeah, just shoot me an email or give me a.
Okay.
On the books.
All right.
Awesome.
Um,
Mayor's report, so I am really happy to be able to say that I got to spend this weekend with some really amazing children. These youths are a lot smarter than me, I'll give them. They were saying words going right over my head, but we got to visit with the laser program that has taken over the old town hall building. And one of those young ladies actually taught me how to drive for a robot. I was petrified that I was doing it because you don't put technology in my hands, the men well. So the town, we did give them an official commendation. And just congratulating them on their work. They are a 501c3. They are not funded by any school system programs. And they're teaching some of these young kids that are, you know, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, literal robotics. And they're not given a map of how to build it. There's a here's your concept, go figure it out. So that was me on hide under the table. These kids are coming up with ingenious ways to basically reinvent the wheel, and took home 7 trophies in competition this season. So if you see them or you see them online, congratulate them. We were really thrilled for that. Second thing is there were 5 of us that came. Yeah, 5. That came on Saturday to help clean up the parks. We picked up about 4 bags of trash. It is by no means perfect. We've got a plan in place to get the new park, I think a plan in place to get the new park cleaned up. But it was really great to just get out there and get to see the people getting together to pick up trash. So that was wonderful. That's pretty much all I have for mayor's report. Now we're gonna open up to council comment. I will remind council that even though most of our audience has left, professionalism and decorum is not a negotiable thing. And I would instill upon you all to think of something positive to use your council comment for. So any members of council want to make a council comment?
No comment.
Wow. All right, so our next meeting will be May 12th, obviously, and we'll have our budget workshops coming up. We do have to go into closed session for legal counsel on the budget. So I would like to take a quick 5 minute, if that's okay, and then we'll come back and read into closed session. Yes, you can. It's a-
No, we can't. Right here, Bob. Right here in the July 4th, July 1st.
I am not going to listen to the crap.
Changes. Cannot go just because you want to talk to your attorney. Read it, number 7, the whole thing.
There is
down
an
here.
actual lawsuit that has been filed in the courts. That's what we're talking.
Williams can't sue us, and you know it. We don't have water or sewer to
He
get
did.
it. There's no reason to go into a private session with just these people here.
What we're doing.
it's indicating that all hell is gonna break loose and she's not gonna elaborate on that, you know, just, and something about me, towards me, and, you know, she just.
That you're disgusting.
And that I'm disgusting, and I
Just read them the text. We're gonna.
oh, okay, we'll send it to everybody, but I think we just need to start documenting all this aggression and the rest, but not for his family, because he's been the center of it, now I'm the center of it. We're.
And my family.
It's the bipolar,
is
you know, you're all good or all bad, oh yeah, and then she was also
We're
attacked this
officially
weekend.
back, in session.
I am still lost.
Go ahead, Olivia.
I'm still lost.
So what we were discussing as we came back is Michelle received a text message from a resident, Tracy Hempstead, that basically called her disgusting and that all hell was about to break loose. That's all we were discussing.
Now I received a phone call from that same citizen telling me some very harsh and negative things about our town manager and her husband. And I, told her I wasn't interested in hearing these things, and then in response to that, I received this threatening text. And so I was just gonna forward the text to the town it was just, similar to what she had done to Ron, she's now doing to me, and so I thought we should just document it as a pattern of behavior against, people in authority in the town, I guess.
I understand. Thank you for clarifying.
No problem. And I'm sorry, part of that, we didn't realize the recording wasn't on that. So, I do want to point out, we have a very bad storm coming, so I would like to wrap this up.
Yeah, that's what my phone kept telling us.
Yeah. The Boy Scout, the Cub Scouts are showing me it's gonna be pretty rough. But to address that, text message and the general behavior behind it, I am done as a council, as the mayor, and as a human being, taking abuse. If we can't conduct ourselves professionally, then we are not going to be in this room. That's just how it's going to work. There are ways to remove council members legally by petitioning the court or the governor's office. And we can do that. There are ways to remove citizens who can't conduct themselves properly. So if we need to take these steps, then we need to do them. And we can't just keep taking this anymore.
But this wasn't from the councilman.
Correct, it was from his life. So, I'll put it out there, if the council doesn't like the direction I'm going in as mayor, please don't vote for me in November. But I'm done having the conversations with all of you and with our staff who's coming in every day and working their butts off, that they feel like they're being abused and derogatory behavior is unacceptable. I don't care if we disagree, that's okay. We're never gonna always agree 100% of the time, you and I. But in the past, when we've disagreed, we talk it out and we come to terms. And then it's a vote of council, and then we do what council says, period, end of sentence. I'm done taking the crap. I brought it up several months ago. We need to start putting out more public statements about these accusations that are founded somewhere in unicorns and leprechauns. There is no basis for reality. And then as we are read out into our closed session, I will state simply, Mr. Hempstead decided to leave the meeting this evening, stating that we are not legally allowed to go into closed session to discuss, to get legal counsel on an actual litigation. He said, well, he can't sue us. Well, he did. And until a judge says it's not founded,
Or it's over.
then it's a lawsuit. And so that's why we're going into closed session this evening. So if you wouldn't mind, Madam Clerk, if you can read us into closed session.
In accordance with section 2.2-3711A7 of the Code of Virginia, I move that town council convene in closed meeting to consult with legal counsel on a matter of actual litigation in which the town is involved, namely the Williams lawsuit. And then in accordance with section 2.2-3711A8 I move that town council convene in closed meeting to consult with legal counsel on a specific legal matter regarding the Williams lawsuit requiring the provisions of legal advice by counsel.
I'll take a vote.
Vote, we go into closed session.
So you just have to say yes.
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 Olivia?
Yes.
Okay, we're in closed session.
Okay, I move that council certify that in closed session just concluded, nothing was discussed except the matter specifically identified in the motions to convene in closed session and lawfully permitted to be discussed under the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act cited in that motion.
Olivia?
I so certify.
Ms. Von Ar?
I so certify.
Ms. McGee? Mrs. McGee? She fell asleep. I so certified. All right, we will now take a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, we are adjourned, guys. Get home safely.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
See you all later. Bye.
Good night, Olivia. Hope you feel better.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, Michelle. Have a good night.
Bye.